Yo, what's up? It's boy DJF7. So, actually, yeah, so I actually somehow this came to my feed and I thought it was quite relevant to the stuff I'm like involved in right now. So you can see it says how progressive organizations are eating themselves from within. I'm involved with a lot of organizations. I guess some of the eating could be considered to be being. I'm kind of one of the monsters munching in a way. Definitely, I would definitely have to admit that. So let's take a look at some of this. Just to give you a little background, the thing is that Kyle Kalinske is not ever someone that I really, just stylistically, just for me, like the suit was like kind of like a turn off to me. Like I didn't really want to watch another suit. So I was always kind of watching more. Who's that other guy? The Humanist Report. You know what I mean? But as time went on, then I just I was with the country for a while, and it was just he's been on for a long ass time. Anyways, definitely one of the OGs in the game. But even though I never really watched Kyle Kalinske, I have a deep respect for his. What is he doing? The thing is that he started Justice Democrats, which is fucking amazing, right? So you got to have a lot of respect for that. But I think that I'm actually going to attend to some of the issues going on here. So let's check this out. I checked out a little bit of it. I thought I had some interesting comments here, so I decided to air it. Let's see what's up.
All right, y'all. I have a phenomenal article here from Ryan Grimm, um, really highlighting a problem that's been bubbling and festering under the surface for at least 5 years now, probably longer. So this is in The Intercept. It's called "The Elephant in the Room: Meltdowns Have Brought Progressive Advocacy Groups to a Standstill at a Critical Moment in World History." So we're going to go through some of this here. The general gist of it is progressive groups that are supposed to be fighting for various super important issues are currently engaged in infighting, and their eye is totally off the ball. And as a result of that, you have the establishment Democrats and the right running rampant and getting victories all over the place. So it's really about how there's a culture of paralysis within progressive organizations that has rendered them completely and utterly toothless. And then that, I'm going to save something for you here at the end, which is really eye-opening about
He's got some decent points there. There is definitely a lack of action. And let's okay, let's continue on. I really don't have anything really critical. I just want to agree with that so far.
how important this is, and how, in a sense, it almost feels like an op. It almost feels like, there's right-wing infiltration of these groups, or the CIA has infiltrated these groups. And I know that sounds conspiratorial and crazy, but at the very least, the outcome is still the same, whether or not it's right-wing infiltration or CIA infiltration. Even if it is just genuine, sincere fighting among the left, the end result is exactly what the right wants, and exactly what the CIA wants, and exactly what the corporate Democrats want, because these groups are now totally and utterly useless. So let's dive into it here. Everyone acknowledged that Zoom was less than ideal as a forum for a heartfelt conversation on systemic racism and policing, but the meeting was urgent, and a little more than 2 months into the COVID-19 lockdown, it would have to do. During the first week of June 2020, teams of workers and their managers came together across the country to share how they were responding to the murder of George Floyd by police in Minneapolis, and to chart out what, if anything, their own company or nonprofit could do to contribute toward the reckoning with racial injustice that was rapidly taking shape. On June 2nd, one such huddle was organized by the Washington, D.C. office of the Guttmacher Institute, the abortion rights movement's premier research organization. Heather Boonstra, Vice President of Public Policy, began by asking how people were finding equilibrium, one of the details we know because it was later shared by staff with PRISM, an outlet that focuses on social justice advocacy. She talked about the role systemic racism plays in society and ways that Guttmacher's work could counter it. Staff suggestions, though, turned inward, PRISM reported, quote, including loosening deadlines and implementing more proactive and explicit policies for leave without penalty. Staffers suggested additional racial equity trainings, noting that a previous facilitator had said that the last...
Okay, so I'm going to get to some of this right now. So the thing is that you see some, overall it seems like a decent story, right? But then you could see that there is, they're going to get into this, you see the black staff in DC, they're going to get into this social justice stuff, which I think is relevant. Talk about that in a minute as well, yeah? I know some people aren't fans of the Asian American thing, but I will ask some, I think, valid questions coming up. So there's this element of political correctness thing coming up, and also when we talk, one of the things I want to bring attention to, right, is the idea that he's really focusing on Boonstra and the staff, right? We're not really sure exactly who's being talked to here, and are they just like a bunch of other managers, right? A better pace. Too often they believe the managers exploit the moral commitment. Yeah. A lot of times the managers are the ones who are talking to the press, right? So we'll see where this story goes. I think that is something to be aware of, though. I think that's one of the definite problems. Another problem that I want to just add right now, before we even go further, is a lot of times these reporters, I guess you could say he's a reporter, and look, I really respect the work that Kyle Kulinski achieved with Justice Democrats. It's amazing. They're very strong. They have a beastly ground game, and that's why they're, out of all the groups, that I would say the most successful, right? Remember that Kyle did end up resigning. I hope he could go back. I don't know. But the thing is that now I really don't know how much he's actually involved in the day-to-day, seeing what's going on at these organizations. But you can't really know what's really going on at these organizations if you don't really talk to the managers. It's just a fact. Okay, so let's continue on here and just realize that this whole even article, right, may be colored by that fact.
Last round had not included sufficient time to cover everything. With no black staff in the DC unit, it was suggested that Guttmacher do something tangible for black employees in other divisions. Behind Boonstra's and the staff's response to the killing was a fundamentally different understanding of the movement. For Boonstra and others of her generation, the focus should have been on the work of the non-profit. What could Guttmacher, with an annual budget of nearly $30 million, do now to make the world a better place? For her staff, that question had to be answered at home first. What could they do to make Guttmacher a better place? Too often, they believed managers exploited the moral commitment staff felt toward their mission, allowing workplace abuses to go unchecked. Okay, so the general gist of this is, when the managers at Guttmacher ask that question, what they're looking for is somebody to say, hey, why don't we take $2 million in the budget, let's say for argument's sake, and donate it towards this group, which is trying to end the war on drugs, which in turn would reduce systemic racism, because as we know, the war on drugs is disproportionately...
Wait a minute. Okay, you're donating the money to that group because you're either unable to do it yourselves, or maybe, which is fair, maybe they have better staffing, right? But do you know how they're going to spend that money, or are you really... I would definitely, get a little bit closer to that group before just dumping $2 million off that group, right? Okay.
applied to people.
Hopefully it's not just going to pay for salaries of people who are not actually poor. Because that happens a lot.
Color. So that's what they're looking at, like policy reaction to try to help the entire country. And
just another thing I want to just add, okay, at this point is, so there's like the way that the money gets spent sometimes in these operations. Sometimes some of it's legit, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's actually very intelligent. But then you have like a mix of super intelligent things and like super dumb things. So when there's like this vagueness going on, we need to see really more of the quality of what's going on in it. The quality of the news reporting as well, right? I would say definitely has decreased. Maybe this is already secondhand. Now this is third hand, right? Versus the Google, right? The article read by interpreted by Kyle Kulinski, now interpreted by me. So there's that, right? Just all these filters. Anyway, so let's talk about this. Here is actually, I think, relative to like a lot of things that I actually speak of, right? Too, right? Group leaders, the staff ignoring the mission and focusing only on themselves. Okay. So there's actually an interesting little story I have there of, actually there's something called the MPP convention. Have I mentioned this before? And I did not, I didn't really want, because I've been in charge before, and it's like a big hassle. But I wanted, so I said, I don't care as long as we keep working together. And what happened was they used to stamp my back, so. The thing is that I learned that you have to also, or you cannot just fight for the stuff and just allow it to just go out, because the thing is that if you do, like, only on themselves, right? We have to take care of all the individuals as well. And I'm not saying that we can only focus on that, but everybody's, for example, right now I'm involved in something called UPA, and there's some people that want to do a social, you know, type of taking care of people and stuff, which is cool. And another group wants to do the party thing, right? Yeah, which is also cool. For some reason, right? Some people who are doing the party thing, as far as I know, right, they want to force everybody else to just work on the party thing, which just doesn't make. Okay, like something like that where you're forcing other people to do things, like that's just too much for me, right? But I would be happy to do with both. I know problem with the person who wants to start a party. I'm wishing them the best of luck. I have a problem with people starting the social. The best of luck. So, but you know, some people would say that would be an extreme position and focusing only on myself, right? This is just I've just seen this phrase misused so much, yeah. So it's also vague. Stan agrees is cloaked in the language of social justice. Maybe there's really a social justice issue, okay? Ryan Grimm, okay? Ryan Grimm, I got something to ask you, brother. You know what I mean? Yo, like all the people, right? I'm not saying that I'm against white people, but all the people that it's you, is that blonde haired guy, you know what I mean? Sagan Jetty's kind of like the Asian American kind of like I'm not really big on this Asian American thing because the discrimination he faces is different from my discrimination. So, and we look different, like you could tell we're not the same, yeah. But it's kind of like you know, breaking ground in that remark, you know what I mean? And oh well, you know what I mean? It's cool for it to see your brother actually make it, you know, that's amazing. So, and we look at just the media actually. If you take a look at like the Jimmy Dore crew, you got Mate, you got it's very white, man. You know what I mean? Aaron Mate, what's that other guy? Matt Blumenfield. I don't really watch it anymore. Steph, Ron, whatever his name is, Grant. It's been so long since I watched it, but it's just mad white, bro. And it's definitely something that's going on in this game. I'm definitely aware of it. There not really being any Asian American males in this space. And there's that, what's it? Kim Iverson? Kim Iverson's, you know. Hey man, that's cool, alright? She's not doing anything for Asian brother out here. That's weird. That's not how this works. I'm not mad at that. Okay. I guess that's she's rolling with the dudes that can make it happen. And that ain't me. So, anyways, let's move on. I think that some of this does sound super relevant to my stuff. I just do question, you know, cloaked in the language of social justice. I have a feeling that that's the white people saying that. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Right, maybe I am wrong about that, but I have a feeling that's what it is. Let's see.
Affect the issue. The staff at Guttmacher were like, this is a moment for personal reckoning where we should turn inward and basically critique our own company. Okay, so let's continue. The belief was widespread. In the eyes of group leaders dealing with similar moments, staff were ignoring the mission and focusing only on themselves, using a moment of public awakening to smuggle through standard grievances cloaked in the language of social justice. Often, as was the case at Guttmacher, they played into the very dynamics they were fighting against, directing their complaints at leaders of color. Guttmacher was run at the time, and still is today, by an Afro-Latina woman, Dr. Herminia Palacio. The most zealous ones at my organization when it comes to race are white, said one black executive director at a different organization, asking for anonymity so as not to provoke a response from the staff. These starkly divergent views would produce dramatic schisms.
Wait a minute, okay. Alright, if we listen to Malcolm X says that, like, you know, actually, I think, does Martin talk about this too? Look, some people actually critique Malcolm X, which is fair, but they were just observing something that's going on, which I also similarly observe, that a lot of times these people are, you know, just because they're people of color doesn't mean that they're, you know, sometimes they're put into manager positions because they are willing to, like Kamala Harris, you know what I mean? Like, you look at that, like, you know, by having a black woman, then you can, like, okay the death penalty and, like, you know, increase rates of arrests and stuff like that. If you find a black woman to do that, then you're kind of, like, in the money because it's hard to criticize her. That's the game, unfortunately, that gets played out here. So, we have to look at, right, are these claims against the minority, or what they call it, are, right, discussing the complaints at leaders of color? It might be that they're, right, this is actually self-contradictory. These might be legitimate claims. It might be either way. You get what I mean? Okay, but I think that this article is written implying that, right, there's certain people who are painted out as the good people, and there's certain people who are painted out as the bad people, and I'm not ready to make that judgment off of this article. Okay? Let's see if, I didn't watch to the very end, right, but already I saw so many, like, similarities to the things that's going on with myself and UPA and other things like that, you know what I mean? And also, right, remember that not only will the article talk to people who are the managers or in charge or in power, usually, right, yeah? Which I think this is kind of, sounds more sympathetic to that group, honestly. We'll see. Staff were ignoring the mission, right? Yeah, it sounds like management is complaining about the staff, right? Staff were ignoring? Who's complaining about the staff? The owners and the management, right? Seems a little weird. Okay. And the best people are the white people. Said one black executive director. Doesn't that seem a little bit like a white fantasy right there? You know what I mean? We're the best, and the black manager said it. Hey, maybe it's true. Maybe it is true. You know what I mean? But the whole thing kind of like, how do you feel about it? You know, you put it in the comments. This is my honest, just first, like, you know, I was looking at this stuff, but I'm just reacting right here. This is my honest reaction.
Herminia Palacio. The most zealous ones at my organization when it comes to race are white, said one black executive director at a different organization, asking for anonymity so as not to provoke a response from the staff. These starkly divergent views would produce dramatic schisms throughout the progressive world in the coming years. At Guttmacher, this process would rip the organization apart. Boonstra, unlike many managers at the time, didn't sugarcoat how she felt about the staff's response to the killing. Quote, "I'm here to talk about George Floyd and the other African-American men who have been beaten up by society," she told her staff, "not workplace problems." Boonstra told them she was disappointed that they were being self-centered. The staff was appalled enough by the exchange to relay it to PRISM. The Human Resources Department and Board of Directors, in consultation with outside counsel, were brought in to investigate complaints that flowed from the meeting. Wow. Including accusations that certain staff members had been tokenized, promoted, and then demoted on the basis of race. The resulting report was unsatisfying to many of the staff. What we have learned is that there is a group of people with strong opinions about a particular supervisor, the new leadership, and a change in strategic priorities, said a Guttmacher statement summarizing the findings. Those staff have a point of view. Complaints were duly investigated and nothing raised to the level of abuse or discrimination. Rather, what we saw was distrust, disagreement, and discontent with management decisions they simply did not like. A PRISM reporter reached a widely...
That sounds, you know, that's possible. Once again, I do feel like that does sound kind of, that does sound to me kind of, you know, on the management side of things, right? Like, they didn't like the management decisions, so they were, you know, they were distrustful, they were disagreeable, they were discontent. So maybe it's legit, maybe it's finger pointing. Kind of feels like finger pointing, but yeah.
Respected Guttmacher board member Pamela Merritt, a black woman and a leading reproductive justice activist, while the Supreme Court oral arguments in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization were going on last December. A year and a half after the Floyd meeting, excuse me, I just woke up, so I might sound a little suspect. She offered the most delicate rebuttal of the staff complaints possible. Quote, "I have been in this movement space long enough to respect how people choose to describe their personal experience and validate that experience, even if I don't necessarily agree that that's what they experienced," Merritt said. "It seems like there's a conflation between not reaching the conclusion that people want and not doing due diligence on the allegations, which simply is not true." Boonstra did not respond to a request to talk from either PRISM or The Intercept. The 6 months since then have only seen a ratcheting up of the tension, with more internal disputes spilling into public and amplified by a well-funded anonymous operation called Repro Jobs, whose Twitter and Instagram feeds have pounded away at the organization's management. Quote, "If your reproductive justice organization isn't black and brown, it's white supremacy in heels co-opting a woman of color movement," blared a typical missive submitted to and republished on one of its Instagram stories. The news in May 2022 that Roe v. Wade would almost certainly be overturned did nothing to temper the raging battle. Repro Jobs told The Intercept its current budget is around $275,000. See, this is super sketchy, okay? So you have an organization that pops up specifically to criticize Guttmacher, and their posturing is from the left, and they're focusing on the internal disputes, that sounds to me like divide and conquer. That sounds like it could be a right-wing op, or it could be a CIA.
Okay, there's actually, yeah, people have integrity. That's the problem. Yeah, it's definitely true, and this can happen to any organization at any time. Remember, everything's always moving, right? Just because they're safe today doesn't mean they're safe tomorrow. Just because they were suspect yesterday doesn't mean that they're messed up now, right? Maybe there was internal change. Could have been on a personal level. Could be on a group level, right? Who knows? It's very, it's a crazy time right now, yeah. But actually tracing the money, I do like some of this stuff. Also, a lot of times people who are, right, you notice that Boonstra is not responding to a request to talk, right? Sometimes people are just fed up I'm definitely fed up by the whole situation, but that can also, a lot of times people who are, people that are innocent want to fight for the truth. Look, that's just me making some, I shouldn't assume though, it's still both sides are possible, so I'm not going to really make a judgment in that case. Tracing this sudden appearance of this group, well funded though, right? Yeah? Yeah, it stinks. Could be just an unhappy person from being well-funded. How do you know it's well-funded? How can it be anonymous and well-funded at the same time? I'll have to find out more about that. That might be true, but they're asking me to buy this particular, this labeling of them, and I'm not ready to buy that. It's just me, okay? Yeah, follow the money. I do agree with that, yeah?
Because they're exploiting these rifts that already exist and making it so that even when Roe versus Wade is about to be overturned, this organization, which is specifically about reproductive rights, is nowhere to be found. That's a...
You know what, actually, I will actually mention something. One day I'd like to find out what happened to KRTD, but just one thing that I mentioned, that I do remember from my meeting with, what's her name? There was some lady who was in charge, I forgot her name, but Jamie, yeah? She said that she ended up holding up anti-Trump signs at the organization she was at. There's also another group called, what are they called? There was those, like, Antifa-like groups, resist fascism. Oh, yeah, I think it was refuse fascism or something. There's some group out here called that, something similar. Sounds very Antifa. The organizers dressed in black and stuff like that, but you'll notice that they're really attacking Trump like crazy. Like, even if he's not, like, in office anymore. Like, that's their only focus. Like, it feels kind of democratic, like Democrat Party to me, kind of. Because I don't really see them ever taking on, like, other issues than that, so. And they do have, like, fantastic success, but. Here's just an interesting little piece of information for y'all. Oh, Jimmy, yeah, okay, my bad, I forgot the name. Okay, so, what's the, so. It's funny that Tulsi's coming in town, because that takes me back to during the Tulsi campaign, all the presidential candidates, we had there was like a bar, like we all went to hang out and to exchange, get ballot petition signatures and just I think we were watching a debate or something all together. That was a cool little event, right? So we got to hang out with each other, and it was like a little bit of contest to see who could bring the most people. So the Yang Gang came the hardest. But oh my God, the Pete Buttigieg contingent was really, really, really freaking strong. I was like, what? I was like, where are these people coming from? I was like, the guy's not from New York. He's like from Indiana. Like, why does he have this huge ass crowd here? Right? Yeah. So I got to meet him. I asked a couple people, for their intake, and apparently this might be true, right? Yeah. But apparently the corporate gay sector is really huge here in New York. A very strong, politically strong group, and they are supposedly super behind Pete Buttigieg. Now, when I was you may have seen the interview that I did with Paper Prince, where he talks about passing, and I guess you could say people are kind of act. I guess you could say acting gay, whatever, right? Yeah. Now, at the event, I didn't. I saw a couple of gay people there, but openly gay, I guess, but I didn't really get the sense that maybe they were just down with the movement, or maybe they were gay and they just weren't passing or presenting or whatever you call it, yeah? So I think there's a lot of people like that, actually, who are just gay and just don't really, make a big deal out of it, so. Yo, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah? Okay, yeah. I got some weird ass shit, like weird calls too. Yeah, it was kind of weird. I got some weird shit too, but you know what? That's because how we just gotta. Sorry to hear that. Yeah? Sorry to hear that. Just getting some information in the chat right here. Alright, so. There may be some kind of control going on, right? Yeah? Exactly. We gotta be able to resist and just maintain our freedoms. Anybody who's asked us to make weird deals, sign NDAs, do any of that weirdo stuff, don't do it. Okay? Maintain your freedom and your rights. That's super important. And if you need help, call your boy, TG Elf 7. You know I'm not great. Anyway, let's go.
Astonishing, man. Anyway, let's continue. That the Institute has spent the course of the Biden administration paralyzed makes it typical of not just the abortion rights community. Planned Parenthood, NARAL, Pro-Choice America, and other reproductive health organizations had simply been locked in knockdown, drag-out fights between competing factions of their organizations, most often breaking down along staff versus management lines. It's also true of the progressive advocacy space across the board, which has more or less effectively ceased to function. The Sierra Club.
Well, interesting right now, I'm just reading this right now, actually Sunrise Movement, they're very powerful. Maybe because the kids are more followers. That's an interesting phenomenon. Actually, the DSA, remember, I'm involved with the Julius Salazar stuff going on here in New York City right now. And Julius Salazar was originally a Republican. And actually, if you look at like Will Conway, I'm not mad at him. He is a Republican. I'm not sure how funded he is by corporate America. But there are, if you look at Pete Buttigieg, the way that these, from a college level, right, they are recruited and brought into this lifestyle, this whole like pathway. Another thing that I want you guys to notice that when I went to DC, there was like the interns and stuff like that. What happens is that it forms a smaller community, like a sub-community. Like think about your own sub-community. Maybe you're part of a YouTuber community. Maybe you're part of a gaming community. Maybe you're part of a bowling community, right? Well, there's a community of people that kind of like hang out like around legislators and stuff, doing like interns, and then they become like staff members, and the staff members end up running for assembly and then end up going to careers in politics. So it becomes its own little circle, and it's not always cliques form and weird stuff. These kinds of they're calling them knockdown, drag out fights between competing factions. Those might be actually necessary discussions and cease to function. That's because they need to be able to get now. Sunrise actually are the ones that I work with here. ACLU doesn't return my emails. I have many. I sent them many. Color of Change. Actually, I do believe that my friend Lisa's getting things done over in California regarding what is it called? Student loan interest debt removal. I actually met some more people, and I got to remember where they are because I know someone's working on that right now, and I forgot who that was. I got to get more organized. I got a new guy that's good. Anyways, we're not going to talk about that, but I will be changing strategies, yeah. Soon. Not yet, though. Word up, yeah. Yeah, I got some weird vibes, too, from Jimmy St. Clair, or whatever her name is, yeah. I got some weird vibes. She's from LA, too, yeah. Feels like a consultant. Feels like a hired thing.
The American Civil Liberties Union, Color of Change, the Movement for Black Lives, Human Rights Campaign, Time's Up, the Sunrise Movement, and many other organizations have seen wrenching and debilitating turmoil in the past couple of years. In fact, it's hard to find a Washington-based progressive organization that hasn't been in tumult or isn't currently in tumult. It even reached the National Audubon Society, as Politico reported in August 2021. Following a botched diversity meeting, a highly critical employee survey, and the resignations of 2 top diversity and inclusion officials, the 600,000-member National Audubon Society is confronting allegations that it maintains a culture of retaliation, fear, and antagonism toward women and people of color, according to interviews with 13 current and former staff members. Twitter, as the saying...
Okay, let's look at the top people in this whole YouTube community, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's you. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, it is kind of white, bro. I mean, like, I'm not mad at them being there, but let's look at the actual numbers and see if these claims are legitimate, instead of just listening to the colored employees are giving us problems. The colored employees are giving us problems. That's what I'm seeing from this message so far. Tell me if you understand this differently. Yeah, let's do a normal form of hell yeah. That's what it looks like to me. I wonder where Kyle will understand this. Maybe he's been a part of the management, around the management class too long. I haven't really been watching my group stuff, so I've been emailing because I just need someone to pick up my story. I've been looking for people that have been targets of Jimmy Dore because I thought they might be more incentivized to like talk about my stuff. But Mr. Grimm is not doing that, so I don't think it's gonna happen. But either way, it looks like Kyle and them have like a new relationship thing going. Who knows? But I do actually respect Kyle for his saying Justin. I think that's amazing. A lot of people who's criticizing Kyle don't really understand what the organization really is in the current format. Not saying it's all great, right? But a lot of the other people who are complaining about them will really know better.
Goes may not be real life, but in the world of remote work, Slack very much is. And Twitter, Slack, Zoom, and the Office Space, according to interviews with more than a dozen current and former executive directors of advocacy organizations, are now mixing in a way that is no longer able to be ignored by a progressive movement that wants organizations to be able to function. The executive directors largely spoke on the condition of anonymity for fear of angering staff or donors. Quote, "To be honest with you, this is the biggest problem on the left over the last 6 years," one concluded. "This is so big, and it's like abuse in the family. It's the elephant in the room, and no one wants to talk about. And you have to be super sensitive about who the messengers are for a number of obvious."
Yeah, Lisa brought up a great point. This also happens at Google, right? Google's also complaining about overall weight management stuff. Like, Kyle is what he is, man. You know what I mean? He is what he is. Like, that's just his perspective. He just, to him, like, he's like, it's because of people complaining. Like, that makes sense. Like, they shouldn't be complaining so much and just help the mission. You know what I mean? It honestly sounds kind of, a lot of these things sound kind of classic problems that should not be dismissed. But if it's, all right.
Intersecting reasons, my race, gender, and generation, I am not the perfect messenger.
Uh-oh. What are you? Don't tell me. Don't tell me. What do you think? Let's see. What is your...
But here it goes anyway. For progressive movement organizations, 2021 promised to be the year they turn power into policy, with the Democratic trifecta and the Biden administration broadcasting a bold vision of transformational change. Out of the gate, Democrats pushed ahead with the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, funding everything from expanded health care to a new monthly child tax credit. Republican efforts to slow walk the process with disingenuous counteroffers were simply dismissed. And then, sometime in the summer, the forward momentum stalled, and many of the progressive gains lapsed or were reversed. Instead of fueling a groundswell of public support to reinvigorate the party's ambitious agenda, most of the foundation...
So the management's saying it's a race problem, and then it sounds like the workers are saying it's a class problem. Is it right? Yeah? The workers complaining about management consistently, right? Yeah? I wonder if Kyle's going to get that at any point. Let's see.
Backed organizations that make up the backbone of the party's ideological infrastructure were still spending their time locked in virtual retreats, Slack wars, and healing sessions, grappling with tensions over hierarchy, patriarchy, race, gender, and power. Quote, "So much energy has been devoted to the internal strife and internal bullshit that it's had a real impact on the ability for groups to deliver," said one organization leader who departed his position. "It's been huge, particularly over the last year and a half or so, the ability for groups to focus on their mission, whether it's reproductive justice or jobs or fighting climate change. This is, of course, a caricature of the left, that socialists and communists spend more time in meetings and fighting with each other than changing the world. But in the wake of Donald Trump's presidential election and then Joe Biden's, it has become nearly all-consuming for some organizations, spreading beyond subcultures of the left and into major liberal institutions."
Okay, wait a second. All right, so... it's true. Yeah, I agree with her, with what my co-host Lisa says. Corporate culture is generally shitty, and this does remind me a lot of corporate culture. Like, once again, she said the same issues going on at Google. And a lot of these corporate mannerisms and cultural norms are unfortunately infiltrating the way into the activist space. I think it made it a lot easier for activists to be on Zoom than to have to go out to some meeting at night and do all that shit. It is what it is. Yeah, and people have no integrity, that as well. That's for real. Yeah. So as in terms of fighting with each other, right, trying to control what other people do, people should really just wake up and follow what they, what they want to do, right? And you'll find people that are in the same direction. So, cool. I do feel like there is a possibility, right? I also want to say there is a downside. I'm not saying that there could never be a situation, right, or there aren't situations where the management might have a legitimate claim in this case. But in order for me to really, I would say, I don't want to rule anything out right until it's proven. That's why I want to see some numbers. I want to see some more specific things before I just like listen to these. Oh, these people are bad and they're acting this way, and oh my God, right? Yeah, this is not convincing to me at all. I spend 90 to 95% of my time on internal strife. Okay, so right, is there a reason why you can't get that under control or something? Can't like sit down with people and say, look, I need to stop that, or have you? It's just it seems like you're losing control somehow. I mean, that's not necessarily good, right? So, are you a good manager? What's going on, man? Do you have the power to make the change? You're the manager, right? Maybe. I don't know. It sounds like a tough position. I feel for this guy. Yeah. I don't trust Kyler Graham. I don't really know about Kyle. I don't really watch him that much because he's just not my style. I appreciate what he's accomplished, but yeah, you know, his whole like I'm wearing a suit and stuff. Just like if you look at this viewpoint right here, it's okay. It's
My last 9 months,
great. We'll see where
I
it
was
goes
spending
with it.
90 to 95% of my time on internal strife, whereas before that would have been 25 to 30%.
Just the way he's reading it makes me feel like he's sympathizing with the management. It really feels like that.
Legislation. Those maximalist political demands can also be a byproduct of internal strife, as organization leaders fend off charges of not internally embodying progressive values by pushing external rhetoric further left. But, the aide pointed out, there is legislative potential now. Quote, there are wins to be had between now and the next couple of months that could change the country forever, and folks are focused on stuff that has no theory of change for even getting to the House floor for a vote. Sunrise is doing their Green New Deal pledge, the aide continued, describing the Sunrise movement-led effort to get elected officials and candidates to sign on to an ambitious climate commitment. The climate bill is still on the table. There's a universal...
Okay, and Kyle, if you were actually, like, you know, maybe spend a week inside these organizations, you'd be able to find people that are really getting stuff done, man. He is dating Crystal Ball. That was weird. Let's get to the little part of that, right? Yeah? The dating Crystal Ball. I thought Crystal Ball was married. I thought she had kids. I don't know what is going on with that Crystal Ball Kyle thing. I mean, whatever. You know what I mean? Maybe they're doing it for the little storyline. You know, maybe that's a hot storyline. Who knows what it is? If it's real or if it's just TV. The division has gotten so bad. Yeah, it is sad about the division, right? Yeah. Yeah, I know I'm part of that division, and it's unfortunate. But, that's why why I'm airing this particular show right now. Right, I find it quite relevant. Yeah. So, yeah, Kyle is one person that I hope at one point would. He's also quite. Here's another thing, right? Try to look up Kyle Kulinski's email, right? I'm actually quite good at finding people's emails and stuff like that, and you know, all information if I need it. Kyle Kulinski is actually very difficult to find. His information. He's quite walled off, and so how's he getting information then? Like I don't blame him. I get it. He's been in the game for a long time, right? Mike from the Humanist Report, easy to get a hold of, right? It's still his email's still around. Has he replied to anything I've ever sent? No, right? I'm gonna start sending more stuff though. I've been cycling through people. Right, I used to send everything to Franco. I don't send that to Franco no more. You know, I'm sending stuff to. I'll try David Packman. I'm on the mailing list too. Second time divorce. Okay. Who's got the divorce? That's Kyle Kulinski, or is that Crystal Ball? Who got the second time divorce? I don't even know. Yeah. You can tell me about that in the chat. Okay, we'll go back to some of this and we'll see how the progressive, because I do think this is a problem, right? The progressive organizations aren't really getting things done, and unfortunately, a lot of times the people who know what they're doing are prevented from, you know, actually being able to do things. Like, look at these organizations. You'll see like a lot of young, like, you know, new faces who don't really know what they're doing, and the reason why they're put there is because they'll do what the industry wants, what the money wants. Kyle's worth millions and has a shady past. Yikes. Okay. She could be. Yeah. She's very popular though, right now, and that can be used, and that's definitely exploited, right? So, oh well, right? You could have Crystal if you want, but you know, some people are in the mood for a little bit more. So, I appreciate you guys checking out the channel. Let's keep going on.
First, where people are on the outside, focused on power and leveraging power for progressives in Congress. Instead, they're spending resources on stuff that is totally unrelated to governing. Nobody says, hey guys, could you maybe come and maybe focus on this?
the silence stems partly one senior leader in an organization said all staying like cowardly, like, you know, not putting their names on it, and they're calling people right-wing trolls. Come on, man. That I could call anybody. You're calling them right-wing troll and then saying it's cancel culture, but you're canceling them, calling them cancel culture. Right?
The silence stems partly, one senior leader in an organization said, from a fear of feeding right-wing trolls who are working to undermine the left. Adopting their language and framing feels like surrendering to malign forces.
Yo, actually, here I see it says for years recruiting young people, the movement felt like a win-win. Yo, the youth people movement is high. Actually, did she even watch the old video of Kyle trashing her? Ooh. Well, I do remember actually that video coming out. Hey, you know what? Maybe that's just I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. You know, I do not know. But I think she probably did. I guess that they had a talk about it. Maybe that was the spark that really made it interesting. You know, just she probably had a lot of dudes like, you know, simping, and this dude like had had some credentials, and he had a critique, and they got them to talk. Who knows? Yeah, we could all make up our little fantasy romance story over there, right? Yeah. I'm mad, you know what I mean? They could do whatever they want. That's kind of funny to think about. It's a little soap opera element for the story here. That's cool. But just so you know, that the youth, actually, I'm quite concerned about a lot of the environmental groups down here. There's that Future Fridays. There's also XR, Extinction Rebellion. Sunrise, also we know, is a youth movement. The youth actually, when we did phone banking, they were actually much better. And actually, the Jamal Bowman campaign, when the Sunrise kids were there, like, I didn't even know there was, like, I just saw some kids that I didn't really, later on I heard about Sunrise, so I understood what that was. I just assumed they were, like, the kids of, like, the parents or something, so, but they're very focused and dedicated, and they really did not argue that much. So recruiting people into the movement feels like a win-win, because they just do what you say, and they usually follow the authority as well. And the parents then also tell them to follow the authority, even if they feel like something's wrong going on. And they're just not certain. Just hope for the best, and even though things smell and feel weird, they just go forward. And if you're one of those young people, please be more aware of what's going on and stop selling out. You know what I mean? They are really training these kids to be corrupted at a very young age. I'm really sorry to say that. Yeah, and that's why there is no movement to reduce the tuition, only to forgive the debt, because they want to keep the prices high and keep that corrupt stuff going on. Okay, Crystal Cigar made fun of Assange. I mean, they did? Damn. Okay, that's wild. Damn, that's kind of extreme. Sunrise got money from Bloomberg. I highly believe it, you know. All these organizations get co-opted. Exactly. That's because the casuals come in, right? Okay? The people who are not involved day to day, the casuals come in and they look around and they say, who is the lead? Oh, wait, you're attractive, or you, right? You got this title, and or, you know, you look like a leader. I swear to you, this is definitely part of it, right? Or let them have a title, and then, or the people with the titles, right, work together with the people that, you know, are getting the attention or attraction, and boom, there you go, right? And the people need to be more invested, and they need to be more involved, and they will understand what's going on, and that needs to be true, especially for these YouTubers, right? They are actually locked off from that world. And actually, right, Kyle, right, I don't think you're gonna watch this, right? Maybe some other YouTubers can carry this message, right? If all you're doing is reading these articles, man, right? Yeah, then it reprograms your brain to think that this must be true. You get what I mean? Like, can you really blame Kyle Kulinski? If all your day long you read this stuff and you read, like, working people are bad, working people are, you know what I mean? It's these colored people making the problems. Colored people make the problem. They work into too much social justice shit. You know what I mean? Like, colored people need to shut up and stop making problems. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, maybe somebody will pick up some of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right. So, if all the organizations can be co-opted too, I just want to say that we can co-opt them back. You know what I mean? So let's go. Right? It's just about we got to train these kids, and not just kids, like, you know, adults as well. Right? They're actually worse, to tell you the truth. Right? To stop following, right, the bullshit. And get more involved and stop being all entitled and shit. Put their shoulders to it. Anyways, yeah, so we're going to keep going on.
But ignoring it has only allowed the issues to fester. The right has labeled it cancel culture or call-out culture. Okay. Healing. Okay. Take care of you when you're sick. Okay. It's all the things, said one executive director. Can you get your love and healing at home, please? But I can't say that. They would crucify me.
So weak. These are the directors, right? Yeah, can you get your love and healing at home, please? This is not who comes there to get love and healing. Maybe those kids. I always assume that. I haven't seen that. I don't go to these rooms to get love and healing. I go in here to get change. That's why those kids are there. That seems to be quite dismissive. Who's saying this stupid shit? Okay. That would for me, they expect there to be all the things. Movement, yes. Get out the vote, yes. Healing. Sure, okay. Okay, yes, all these things, sure. Can you get your love and healing at home, please? Hey, sometimes you gotta be tough, man, to get the job done. Depends on if you're getting yeah, this is pretty shitty. It's pretty sad. I didn't even know it would be like this. You could always be, there's always time for love and healing, right? But you can't say that, look, there's everything's the right time for the right person. I'm not saying it's always right to be love and healing. If it's necessary, right, yeah. That's a little weird to me. Sounds quite, I feel like this executive is maybe overworked or has lost, maybe they've lost some sense of empathy, it seems to me.
Okay. So now this, look, I'm not even halfway through this article. I'm going to stop reading it now. I'm not even halfway through this article. This goes on. There are more, look at this. There are more examples.
Whoa, look at all, are those all kids right there? Okay.
A movement,
kids
okay.
Get used a
Get
lot.
out the vote.
Kids get used so much. It's disgusting, yeah? And I will tell these kids, right, I told them, I saw it at the Rover's Weight thing. I was like, they're like, we're going to start off with a walkout from the schools. And I was like, where's your walkout? The adults were asking the kids to walk out from the school. And I was like, I'm not mad at that, but what are you going to do for these students after this? You know, is it just they walk out from the school for your movement, and then you're not going to help them with their ridiculously high tuition or anything like that? Like, let's work out a trade here before you just jump up and do what these people say. You know, what are they doing for you? It should be an exchange, not a work for us. You know, don't work for others. Work for yourself and engage in trades.
Okay. Healing, okay. Take care of you when you're sick, okay. It's all the things, said one executive director. Can you get your love and healing at home, please? But I can't say that. They would crucify me. Okay. So now this, look, I'm not even halfway through this article. I'm going to stop reading it now. I'm not even halfway through this article. This goes on. There are more.
Look at even the picture, right? They center, right? I'm not mad at it, but they do definitely center this tall white boy right here. That's the center.
No one's able to say how bad
that's
it is.
That's the focus right there.
Things,
maybe
said one executive director.
Maybe
Can you
subconscious.
get your love and healing at home, please?
Maybe subconscious, maybe it's not. Right? But that's what they like. Maybe you think I'm bugging out here. Maybe I'm too much with this, right? You let me know in the chat. Am I going too far with this? Right? Look, I'm not. If this happens all the time, then.
But I can't say that. They would crucify me. Okay. So now this, look, I'm not even halfway through this article. I'm going to stop reading it now. I'm not even halfway through this article. This goes on. There are more, look at this. There are more examples of this. I mean, this is a...
Hey, maybe he'll criticize it. We'll see. Let's see. I hope Kyle. Let's all hope for Kyle right here. Yeah, let's hope Kyle sees that this is kind of messed up. We'll see. Oh my goodness.
Highly detailed piece with a number of examples of how the culture inside progressive organizations is horrendous. The progressive movement is eating itself from within. And like I said, it's almost certainly because of the organic culture that has developed on the left, where people have sort of embraced these cancel culture values where, like, the tiniest infraction and you go off on somebody and treat them like they're your worst enemy. But it certainly feels like a right-wing op or feels like a CIA op, because this is exactly what they want. This is exactly what they want. So I highly recommend everybody go read the rest of this article. This article is truly phenomenal, and it's a reckoning that's long needed. People have needed to talk about this for a long time, because you got to understand something. I witnessed this firsthand years ago with the creation of Justice Democrats.
Aha! Aha! Oh, this is very interesting. Ooh. He does have relevant experience. Let's hear. Oh my goodness. Let's hear this. Wow. This is actually quite a this is a scorcher. I'm really excited to hear this one.
Because now, whatever you think of Cenk Uygur now, at the time, he was one of the co-founders of Justice Democrats with me and Zach Exley and Shoykad Chakrabarti. And, the whole idea was supposed to be this is like the Tea Party of the left. We're going to primary the corporate Democrats. We're going to get in people who are sort of in the model and the mold of Bernie Sanders. And what ended up happening was there was a staff mutiny. Why? Because Cenk Uygur wrote some politically incorrect blogs in like the late 90s, things he had already.
Okay. I do remember that. I also heard about him going against like unions and stuff like that. A lot of kind of management stuff. Maybe I'm gonna try to take Kyle's stuff like legit too, right? Maybe they were targeted because anytime you have something successful, right, people want it, and they're going to execute like attacks any way they can. And maybe that was just what happened to work at the time or whatever. Maybe it's just a tactic, right? I guess I can see where for you it would be feeling forced that or what? I don't know. But I could see where it could be maybe like triggering some type of what do you call it, deja vu, right? When they talk about the social justice and I think Cenk letters were like putting down women somehow or something. So let's see.
Deleted, and they included some crass jokes that people thought were sexist, and they took as like him seriously saying, like, one of the things he said was like, obviously the genes of women are flawed because they don't want to sleep with me more. Now that was a self-deprecating joke, but people looked at that like rank sexism, and so there was a staff mutiny, and they were like, look, either all of us go, the entire staff, or he goes. And so then he, being very
Okay. Do you really believe that? The entire staff, even the factions of the people who said, you know what, I could become the manager like this. You know what I mean? Like, all I gotta do is let these other people go, and hey, I'll be the one. All right? Yeah. The whole staff was gonna go over just those. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because it really doesn't really seem 100%. Yo, permanent. Yo, what's up? I'll open up the Zoom. Yo, you want to get in? Yeah. Yeah, about to have Lisa jump in the call. Give me a second, okay? I'm gonna pop this up right here. Bam. Maybe. Okay. Hold up, Lisa. I'm sending you a link over here, okay? Let's do it. Okay, give me a second. I'm bringing my friend Lisa in to the call. Yeah. Actually, Lisa has quite a good. Remember earlier they talked about color of change? So it's interesting because color of change is a primarily black women's. So how are they going to have the social justice discussion, right? Because honestly, I feel like we're kind of getting everything from just straight up the white perspective. Oh my God, I sound like such a social justice warrior, right? Yeah, I know. Like there's some people out there hating me right now. Not that I'm. Oh my God, yeah, this is hilarious. Yeah. Either way, hey, look, you could think what you want, right? I don't put down Republicans. I don't hate on, libertarians or anything like that. People make up these terms and stuff, these labels. I do hate you if you a liar. I do hate you if you for being a sellout. But other than that, it's really, if you were Republican, Democrat, it's fine with me. I mean, there's too much variation in that label right there. Yeah, as a liar, yeah. Hey, look, even that sometimes, if someone was a lie is someone is not telling the whole truth. So if you're like, you have to walk in and be like, God damn, you born ugly. You ain't got to do that, you know what I mean? So I'm not like. It loves this. Anyways, so I think I shot the link over to Lisa. We're gonna keep going on this one. So let's see if she got that. Let me just check one more time. Okay, she should have the link. I'm gonna actually resend that. Okay, Lisa always has great insight. If you want to, actually send to you, Lucky Burrito, as well. Getting this. Let me know if you want to get in the call. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let me just find the whole entire invite. I had the invite link, but I'm just gonna send the whole entire thing to my co-host. Thank you for your patience. Cool. Okay, this is going to. Oh yes. Yeah, there's a link right there. Bam. Okay, so I've sent the. Where's my? Yes. Okay, so I just sent the email to Lisa. Another one, but it seems like the last one didn't go through. Anyways, we're about to see. It's not looking good for Kyle right here though. He's definitely on the management side. Definitely. Okay. Anyways, let's get to the. Hey, look, I've been in the management side, and I'm telling you right now, like. I think it's. I don't want to blame Kyle, like, or say that, like, if I was in his position, that wouldn't happen to me. In fact, I think it naturally does happen to you. Remember, I said he's reading these types of articles day after day after day after day from that position, from that perspective, and it's like brainwashing. Like, it would happen to anyone. Yeah. That's why we gotta actually make sure that there's things in place and stop having these heroes. Because when you make someone a hero, it kind of like destroys them. Yeah. Making someone a hero just. Some people can handle it, I guess, but it leads to fake. It's real dangerous. Anyways, let's go back to chat and see if your guys are coming into this thing here. Oh, okay, that's cool. All right. Oh, text is in. That's cool. That's cool. Lucky Burrito. Maybe I'll check it at your show. Let's see where is Lisa here. Okay, I sent Lisa by email, but I will send it now via the text. Okay. Oh. Bam, there you go. Okay, so Lisa should be entering soon. Okay, it looks like we're almost done though, so we'll see.
Very selfless, was like, you know what? If it's better for the mission to get more Bernie types elected, fine, I'll go. And then I looked at that and I said, the culture of this place is super fucking toxic. And so you know what? I'm gonna step down in solidarity with him. This is what I witnessed. Shit, what year was this?
Okay, this is okay. I'm gonna say this right now too. Okay, Okay, well here comes my co-host Lisa. Hell yeah. Let me just make a little note for myself so I don't forget. Hey, what's up? I'm gonna put you on my screen right here. What's up? Okay, here we go.
Buddy.
Yeah. Okay, let me see if my camera on, but I think I'm off on the other thing. Or
The Father's Day painting.
yeah, that's cool. Let me see if I can turn on my camera here. Is this on? I think my OBS is eating up my camera. Let me see if I can change that up. Oh yeah, my OBS is using my camera. Okay, so let me see if I can change this to this turntable view. Okay, and then I'm gonna see if I can activate my camera now. No,
Yeah,
my
because
camera's
all
still
I'm
on.
seeing is your little logo.
Yeah, you know why? Because actually, if you watch me on the YouTube, you'll see me there, but you can't see me in the yeah. You see me on the YouTube, but you can't because my camera for my OBS is on. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
it's fine.
Yeah, it's cool. Hey, look, I'm gonna make it. Okay, so anyways, I could share my screen with some of the Kyle Kulinski stuff. That's crazy. So, let me catch you up to. I'm just gonna rewind just a little bit, and I'm gonna share my screen with you so we can see what's going on with that. So,
Okay.
actually, we had a series about why people lost. It's interesting to talk about Cenk again, right? Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So I was about to say that we could talk about that again. You know, it's weird to me that he's constantly, maybe he has this thing with Jimmy Dore and he has to feel like he has to take sides or whatever. Or maybe he's good friends with Cenk. I don't know. But, it's just so strange to me that he doesn't want to admit, like, all the crazy shit that Cenk did. It's kind of like, oh, he did those texts a long time ago.
Think about it, Lisa. Think about you and me, right? Yeah, we doing some cool shit, and we definitely have some sense of loyalty to each other. You know what I mean? Honestly, like, I'll be real with you. Remember, I said I'm not better. If you fucked up, Lisa, I'd cover for you. I'm gonna say it right now. I would. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
and who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? That's why we need to have transparency. That's why I need to have review. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that, like, I'm proud of it, and I'm not saying I'm ashamed of it either. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I get that. I fine. Like, I didn't get reciprocated. I never see.
Nah,
Cenk-
I'm not asking for you to reciprocate. I wouldn't want you to reciprocate because I don't want you to get you in trouble.
I'm talking about Cenk and Kyle right now.
Okay, my bad. Okay. All right. Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
No, I never see it reciprocated that Cenk is talking about. In fact, Cenk doesn't talk about Kyle at all.
Interesting, yeah.
So,
Interesting. That's true.
So, and you have to remember, their thing is an East Coast, West Coast thing too, because TYT is West Coast.
Where is Kyle? Is he in New York City?
Yeah, he's in New York.
No way! Where are you at, Kyle? I've never seen him. Oh my
way.
God.
You can't tell me you didn't know that. What?
I never really watched him.
Yeah.
Remember I told you, I was telling you from the beginning, like, he had the suit on. It wasn't really my style. You know what I mean? Like, even watching now, like, I didn't even know to expect this from him. Was he always like this? Was he always a management sider, or he got like that later on? This just seems pretty, like, egregious. Like, even just, it seems like it stinks to high hell. Yeah.
I never started I didn't start watching him from the very beginning because I think he's been a commentator for a long time. But I think his whole thing was like an atheist thing. Like, he started out, that's the reason why it's called secular talk, because he's doing it from the point of view, like a non-religious point of view things. And then he started sort of ambling toward a more sort of libertarian left type of thing, and getting into politics, and that's kind of where he found his lane. So that's what I know about Kyle. I used to watch him pretty much daily, but now
He's one of the OGs. He was like the only one. Like it was him and Humanist Report and TYT, and that's like and Nico, and that was who was there. That was it.
right. I used to watch Nico a lot. I used to watch this woman. How I found out about Jimmy Dore and the rest of them is because I used to watch this woman called her name was Debbie the Sane Progressive. I think she was out of like Massachusetts or something.
That's cool.
And she called herself Debbie the Sane Progressive, and she was awesome. She was just hard hitting, totally calling people out for their bullshit. Like said about people like, Ro Khanna is another Barack Obama. You watch, he'll do this, he'll do that. He'll just and she was just so right on. And she like swelled up, and she had like, within a very short period of time, like 44,000, viewers. And she would go on and be on for hours and just like rant. She was awesome. And really, she was a big Bernie supporter, and then was just basically talking about how Bernie just like reamed everybody.
So once again, coming from the Bernie perspective and the socialist perspective, it's so ironic to me reading through this. Like this, to me, the piece is obviously siding with management, 100%. Like I didn't expect this. Like I'm surprised.
That's the reason. I have to tell you, that's the reason why I never got behind Bernie, because to me, I mean, even though I'm very concerned about some of the things that Tulsi says lately, very concerned.
She's gonna be in New York, but
wow, are you gonna go see her?
I'm thinking about protesting Cornel West. That's gonna be interesting. So
why are you protesting Cornel West?
Because for his role in for his refusal to address the issues at MPP. I mean, the MPP. Okay, here's another thing that happened recently. I don't know if I did an episode on it. With planning, I started doing the thumbnail. The advisory council webpage is finally down. Like just like last week or something, it was up. There was the advisory council webpage, right? If you type in MP advisory council, and all the pictures were there. That's taken down. That's done. So because I was giving them grief about it, like you're on the MPP advisory. Now I can't say that no more. You know what I mean? Technically, yeah. But I still want. They're trying to escape. They want to escape, and then years later they want to say that was so long ago. Let's just let that go.
Yeah, I get it. He's not the type of person.
Well, hopefully he'll address it then. I'm gonna send him an email first.
I think that he might address it.
I pray to God if he does, that would be such a.
But what's even better is that I think that he will probably listen.
Cornel West, you can make fucking history. Help the Asian American movement. I swear to you, man. Yeah, help us, man. You would be a fucking landmark blacks helping Asian.
Because there's already, certain,
I'm gonna email him first.
Happening. Like for instance, that Jimmy Dore is thinking about. It almost seems like he's doing some sort of exploratory campaign to run for president. And that's the reason why he's so behind Nick Brana, because Nick Brana will just lick his ass clean. It's gross. It's disgusting.
I think Dore's trying to bail out Brana. I think he's got to bail him out.
It's weird.
Knowing what's going on behind the scenes,
dude, man, it's like I didn't realize you were such a narcissist. I guess so.
You know what? Like in some ways, I can't be complete. Okay, let me tell you this. Okay, so the thing is that. Oh, I'm gonna air out all the dirty laundry now. Oh my God, Lisa, you're pulling out all the dirty stuff, yeah? Oh my God. All right, so. Ooh, I hope that my peoples don't get too mad at me because I'm just gonna air it all out, yeah? Okay, so. Look, UPA, I love UPA. In fact, it's historical in its significance because we have Jonathan Martin's not as involved now as much as he was before, right? Yeah, we have five, maybe six generations of the MPP previous leadership all together. This is historic and a huge talent pool that really is amazing, right? But the thing is that we also are having similar problems. This is kind of like what attracted me to this video right here, because we also are having problems with getting things done. I think they finally got a website up recently, maybe. They've been around for maybe 2 years and they just got a website up. That's not...
Who's this again?
UPA, Unified People's Assembly, yeah? But I think that actually the Washington State Party is actually doing quite a bit more, right? I think they just did something with the whole Washington. So, the thing is that some of the other territories, like Texas, I think is in turmoil because I think that they're trying to, MPP they moved in CPI people, right, to take over the grassroots activists. So they moved in some people to take over that. So that's interesting. So, but really, right? Remember, actually, Subs made a great point, and shout out to Doom and Gloom channel, whatever. I think they got something coming up maybe tomorrow. Yeah, but Biden won without a ground game, and the fact of the matter is that how many do?
Totally. So how did that happen?
And well, okay, let's take a look at this. How many ballot petitions do actually volunteers really get? They get like okay, and sometimes the validation is like horrible, right? Yeah. A lot of times the campaign just straight up's got to hire somebody. That's it. You got to just straight up hire people. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so really, right, as in terms of getting it done, thinking about it, like volunteers and stuff, and seeing about how much they've gotten done in the past couple of years with UPA or just other stuff like that, like I don't feel like they really were. I feel like the money that they've been collecting, which is something like $20,000 to $30,000 a month, right? Yeah, they'll be able to hire the consultants to get the signatures they need, and they'll get on the ballot, which is crazy. You know what I mean? The money wins, unfortunately. That's what so in a way, that's why they're able to get away with it. And I fought UPA to try to get them to fight for the money that was collected partially under while we were doing the work. And nobody else wants to fight for the money. So then how are they supposed to win without any money? You know what I mean? It's basically like, you can't, you know? So
I've seen people win without money. It just, you take people. Look, you have to either have people or you have to have money.
If you don't fight for the money, then you have to do the work.
I told you about
Yeah.
a city council race.
Yeah.
A city council race, which was the most expensive city council race and the most vote getting.
And Pelosi showed up. And Pelosi doesn't want to endorse someone and have them fail. That looks bad for her. So the full machinery behind them. Yeah.
The weird thing is Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton endorsed the city council person, and then on the other side, the person who won, Nithya, Bernie Sanders came out and endorsed her. What are these national figures coming out endorsing a city council race? It's like, what the hell? What is going on here? And it's going to show that they're trying to snuff out all the real progressive movements, all the people who can get shit done and then will have some power to do it. And they're trying to snuff those people out.
You know, also, I love your understanding of the importance of LA as a fundraising capital and as you know, an influence capital.
Total fundraising capital.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that Silicon Valley is moving south. Like LA and actually even Southern California. Like from north San Diego to all the way into like Santa Monica, Los Angeles. Like all of these places are basically taken up by two things. You know, media companies, which it's always been, of course, because we have Hollywood here. That's the reason why Silicon Valley is moving south, because they're making so much money on these streaming platforms and stuff, especially over COVID, because everybody just stayed home and watched TV, basically. You know, so where are the people who know how to do these things? Well, some are in San Francisco, but they don't have the stages and the costume houses and the prop houses like we do. We have this stuff as like their industries here, their standard, and all the people who know how to do this stuff are already here. So money's not an issue. So they would go to different, you know, places in there, and they are filming all over the world and in other, you know, states and countries, but there's still so much A, money here, B, so many stages. And frankly, they have so much money that they don't really need to go in other places. It's just that there's so much filming that all the stages are full, all the things are full. You know, we still have the best weather.
And who doesn't want to take a trip to fucking Australia or something, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly, which is great, but we still have the best weather. We don't have to worry about it being 110 for a week. Maybe it'll be 110 for like 2 weeks here, but then it ends. You know what I mean? Or we still have like, I mean, it's relatively temperate here. It hardly rains. So if you're in, you know, I mean, I had a roommate who was working on this show a long time ago called The Shield, and they had to film on a lake, and the temperature dropped to 12 degrees. That never happens here.
Yo, I've seen sound stages where they'll build up.
The whole cast had to move back, and it cost them so much money. All the money that they saved, it got eaten away, and then some.
Yo, I've seen the sound stages are sick too. Like they can make them look like a mountain, They could make it look like a lakeside.
Exactly.
Yo, they
Exactly.
really
Got
like,
all that
yeah.
stuff.
You feel like you're really there, like it's crazy.
We've got
Yeah,
the beach. We've got other countries. We've got so many look-alike things.
yeah.
We've got the desert, and the thing is, we have them all in very
Okay.
close. And they're all close together. For instance, I could drive to like Death Valley, which
Yeah.
is the middle of the desert. I could drive to the mountains, and then I could drive to the beach all in one day.
Word
You
up.
can't really do that in other
So-
places in the country, you know. So
One thing
Um,
I was also want to ask you was, okay, you see this article right here where it's talking about, I'm sorry about the camera, no, you go watch me on the YouTube, yeah? But the thing is, it talks about the, one of the groups that they mentioned was Color of Change, and they said Color of Change can't get anything done because of social justice stuff, but, I mean, I would find it, how do you feel about how things are going in Color of Change? Are you guys getting things done?
But we're doing a little bit less, but
Okay.
I honestly think it's not because of any internal infighting that I know about. It's more like, well, actually, you know what, we had a little bit of turmoil.
There will always be a little
Some of it was because of me.
bit.
But at the same time, that's what's great about what I like about COC. They don't see us as like, you know, we're not the board. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we all have individual ideas and comments, and we have leadership that will allow us to express it and to talk about it, and then to bring people in that we have issues with, and then have discussions regarding how things are going to go, or what they're going to do. And like, for instance, I'll just clue you in on one thing. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about it, but I am going to anyway. We have a project that we're going to join with this other organization, that they want to close 8 prisons.
Okay.
And this was based on a survey that they did, but they only did it in men's jails. So all the
Okay.
prisons that they want to shut down, that we're going to do this big thing, it's only men's prisons, and none of them are the women's prisons, which are the ones that are the fastest growing. So it's like, we're not
That's a
going to
fair
close any
critique.
men's prisons.
That's a fair
We're not
critique,
gonna
yeah.
close any men's- So of course, you know, I had some kind of pushback on that, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
so that's number one. Number two, I've had, you know, because I was filming a documentary, you know, about this one particular organization. I had some issues with some of the way they did things, you know, because I felt that they did things unilaterally and often didn't check in with their member kind of orgs. And I said something about that. And then the third thing is that there were certain issues that I felt like our membership aren't being made aware of. Like, for instance, Gavin Newsom is our governor, and he's willing to close. He said he's willing to close 3 prisons. They're trying to push him to do 8, but they're going to be warm closings. What does that mean? That means that they're going to be fully staffed. They just won't have inmates. What the
So-
F? How is that closed? That means that they're just going to be waiting until, you know, whatever, something changes, you know, the wind blows in another direction, and they'll fill it up with a bunch of people again. Maybe women. So like, we don't like why do we have warm closings? Now some people are saying, oh, or you know, some people are not saying this. What I thought off the top of my head is, oh, he's placating the prison guard unions, right?
Okay.
He's just placating these people. But why does he have to placate them? Why do we have a prison that is
Okay,
that
so
is
let me ask something right there, because you actually
doesn't
bring
have
up
anything
a.
to do? Why do we have people going to work if there's nobody there?
So making it relevant to this particular discussion right here, I'm going to ask you, right? So now what happens is some organizations, as they start to move towards the final
So
policy.
that's what I'm talking about. That's relevancy. That is
Okay.
something that's serious to be discussed. To say, like,
Right.
wait a second, what are we doing this? Why are we doing A with just men? Why are we pushing to close prisons when it's bullshit? When they're
Sure.
just going to keep them open and then they'll fill them up back up again. They do that with the jails in LA constantly. So it's,
Yeah.
I feel like, okay, you want my sisters, right? Because it's mostly like a black women's organization. I mean, that's the way. I mean, the leadership, there might be men, but the foot soldiers and everybody's almost It's like
Yeah,
it's
it's
literally
known
like
for that,
70
right? It's
to
known for
80% black women.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like you want my sisters to like give up all their time and do all this stuff for some kind of bullshit that's not
Like,
really
no, I
gonna
get
happen.
that. No, I get that. Yeah, that's 100% fair. Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah. So actually, that actually brings me to another point, right? That's if you look at the title here, it says meltdowns have progressive advocacy, right? So there's a couple things. First of all, right, like where would be the space in that particular on your side, right, for negotiation? So the thing is, right, even in this extreme condition, it's not good, right? Yeah, the fact that there's no women's prisons involved. Maybe right there's a reason for that, right? Maybe they say we'll agree to work for the next one on the women's prison, or they could right.
That could be exactly. But
So-
why is it that
right,
the
they could-
women
yeah.
always last?
Wait,
Why-
let me
why
finish.
always
Let me
do
finish.
that?
Wait, let me finish. Okay, let me finish. The thing is that I agree with you. That's not an ideal situation, right? Because that's asking for trust and stuff like that. But in that case, there is something given, something, right? Some talk, some negotiation, some working out, right? Versus them just not having discussion with you, saying you need to get down with the cause, and we don't even really want to have a discussion with you or give you any way to get, parity at all. We just want you to do your foot soldiering, and that's it. You know what I mean? Ideally, right? They would say, you know what, you're right, and and hopefully there would be some straight equity, right? Yeah, 4-4, right, or just 8-8, right? They add another 8. That would be great, right? Yeah. I would say something that might be acceptable, not ideal, is right that scenario I gave you before, right? Maybe the women have to wait, but they guarantee it's coming later. Then if they break it later, that's also not good. It's not good, right? It's asking for trust, and it's a lot of times that trust is broken, and even that's something I would be happy with. But in my own struggles, right, with these organizations, that's something I would ask for. That's something I might be willing to accept. But a lot of times there's no discussion happening. Also, just the second piece, right? If you want to comment on that, is there any comment you wanted to say on that, Lisa? Okay, so I'll get to the second issue, right? Yeah. The second one says meltdowns have brought progressive advocacy groups, and the thing is that before they were accusing of all. Remember, Kyle Kulinski said all the staff was going to leave Justice Democrats, like the whole entire thing. But the thing that I'm saying is that maybe it was the staff that was, like you said before, the foot soldiers, the ones who were actually getting the work done, because it's very improbable that the entire staff would leave. Your office workers, I bet you, stayed. Your other executives stayed, right? You're not complaining about them. It came about the people who are doing the actual work, and they have to be involved in the process, right? Remember that they did not kick out Kyle. Kyle left, right? Yeah, he was allowed to still be a part of it, but he left. And I'm not mad at him for leaving, but I'm saying that he left by choice, not because he was forced. And there's a difference there.
My issue is just saying like, hey, they're letting you talk instead of saying this stuff. That was my issue with the other organization that I had some issues with, is because they don't let you talk.
Yeah.
They just shove it down your throat, and it's either you're a foot soldier or they harangue you, or they just act like complete assholes. And that's why I have an issue, and that's why I'm with COC as opposed to these other organizations that just like try to like, I mean,
I feel like
they're
we're-
worse
yeah.
than gaslighting. It's like ridiculous ghetto like haranguing.
I feel like we're in solidarity, like on this article from the opposite direction.
This is like I'm going to show you something. See
Yeah.
this book?
Yeah.
See this book?
Yeah,
Okay. This book
Yeah.
was written before I was born.
I like that.
I'm not into waiting.
I
I'm not
get
going to
you.
wait.
I get you. I'm with you. Yeah, like why can't we have the right? Why can't we have parity now? You know what I mean? Like how can we trust you for the future deal? I'm with you. I'm not really into waiting. Yeah.
So
I don't like that either.
That's
Yeah.
the thing. People say, oh, we'll get you next time. We'll get you next time. We'll get you next time. Next time. Decades later,
You're dead. No, actually, what they've literally said this to my face. They said, we can't get the change for you. Maybe we can get it in decades. Meanwhile, they're taking 2 years to make a website. Come on, man. You know, I can tell this shit is not. You're on a fucking glacial time scale. Just forget
Right,
about
exactly.
it. Yeah, just
And
yeah.
that's the
I
reason
love you
why-
guys. I gotta leave you behind. Sorry.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
and that's one of the other reasons why I love COC, because I can say something that I know that will galvanize people, and that we'll get a lot of allyship on, which is student loans. And we've had a campaign, but it's kind of been a little backburnered. I mean, we have lots of campaigns.
Yeah, I'm about to go beast mode. I'm about to brute force every single. I'm about to like film myself doing this. I'm gonna hit every freaking student government that I can. New York, LA. I already have the email for every single New York City school government. I'm gonna hit every
Okay,
single
cool.
fucking
Well, I
one.
know some people. I know. I can say a few people that you can reach out to, and I bet they'd be.
Can you reach out to them maybe? Yeah. Maybe they'll like you better.
Yeah, and I'll send you some of this stuff.
We'll do it together.
He's got a Facebook page.
Cool.
Student loan justice.
Hell yeah.
But at any rate, he's a white dude, but.
That's all right. I think I know him.
But here's the thing. They found that black women have some of the highest rates of student loans. And so, that the thing is, so it's our issue that we can champion and get a lot of allyship, because there's a lot of people getting traction, and we can help push that. So I have to tell you, I've had these ideas, and I have recommended them to some of these organizations, but because I didn't do exactly what they wanted, they weren't pushing it. Like, for instance, Alan Coulange, who is like the head of Student Loan Justice. He basically wants bankruptcy protections. He wants all student loans to be, forgiven, and then have bankruptcy protections put in place. And I was saying that we could change the California bankruptcy laws to make it so you can discharge all interest, including capitalized interest, off student loans. And so that would do several really good things for California. Number one, is it would probably bring a deluge.
So let's get to that later, because really I'm focusing this one on on this particular commentary of this particular passage here, and we can do that on another time. But it is good to know that work on the specifics of those particular plans.
Just the upshot of that is that COC is willing to listen to an idea like this that I can formulate and say, we're going to everybody behind you. We're going to talk to national. You'll have a talk, and then we'll get together. You tell us what you need to get this together, and then we'll work on getting us as a huge campaign. Yeah. Now, who does that? Do all these other places? No. It's like what you said. Like you're just a peon. Act more like a corporate. That they don't. Our mission statement in COC is to promote Black joy and make the world a better place for Black people. But honestly, making the world a better place for Black people is making making the world a better place for everybody. Really, So yeah, it's like, how many organizations can you do that? Not too many.
Yeah, if you watch my you probably watched my thing with Willie Conway, the national director of the Ford Party, where he tries to bring me online, and even though I have evidence of criminal actions taken against me, he says that I'm not ready because of my demeanor to speak with Yang or something. That's so I feel like that's when do I get to talk to Yang? Like, what has to happen to me? Do I have to be dead or something? Like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, it seems absurd. But yeah, so you just can't talk with these people, right? Yeah, you just don't get to talk to them. So the management shells themselves off, and well, let's hear what Kyle has to say more about this, right? It's quite interesting because of his perspective. So let's hear what he's got to say.
2017, 2018, something like that. And what this story is telling me is that this is occurring in every single progressive institution in the country, or progressive organization in the country. And we're at the point where they're stymied. They can't do anything. They're totally feckless. They're totally useless. At a time when Roe versus Wade is being overturned, the Guttmacher Institute isn't there for the fight because they're too busy internally bickering over some bullshit.
Oh, I can't hear.
It's astonishing. So I'm going to leave you with this. Look at this right here.
I can't
this
hear.
This is Crystal Ball tweeted this.
Yeah, give me a second. Let me find the. Let me go to the Zoom and see if I can. He's just once again saying that they are sharing. It says I'm screen sharing. You see the screen, but you don't hear the video, right?
I see the screen, but I don't hear the video.
Does it play the music? Let me see more.
Do you want me to get off, or?
No, it's okay. Let me hear share sound. Tell me if you hear it now.
From the CIA's simple sabotage.
You hear it now?
Yes.
Okay. He's just saying the same stuff. You know what I mean? He's saying these he's still blaming the social justice warriors, I guess you would call them.
that this is occurring in every single progressive institution in the country or progressive organization in the country. And we're at the point where they're stymied. They can't do anything. They're totally feckless. They're totally useless. At a time when Roe versus Wade is being overturned, the Guttmacher Institute isn't there for the fight because they're too busy internally bickering over some bullshit. It's astonishing. So I'm going to leave you with this. Look at this right here.
Is it bullshit? Okay, now he's sharing up, okay. Bring up irrelevant issues as frequently as possible. Haggle over precise wordings of communications, minutes, and resolutions. Refer back to matters. Is this like actually, is this how they use their stuff? Refer back to matters decided upon at the last meeting, attempts to reopen the question of the advisability of that decision. Advocate caution, be reasonable, urge public caution to be reasonable. Wow, what is this, COINTELPRO shit? Insist on doing nothing with your channel. Never push people to expect decisions, make speeches. Talk with people in positive great length. And positive to all matters to communications for further study and consideration. Ugh. Yeah, I never like that shit. Let's go. Bring up irrelevant issues. What irrelevant? Haggle over precise wordings.
This is Crystal Ball tweeted this from the CIA's Simple Sabotage Field Manual. Look at the highlighted parts. The CIA has said this. They, hey, this is how you infiltrate and bring down groups. Bring up irrelevant issues as frequently as possible. Haggle over precise wordings of communications, minutes, minutes, and resolutions. Refer back to matters decided upon at the last meeting and attempt to reopen the question of the advisability of that decision. Stunning. Stunning. And even some of the other stuff. I don't know why she just highlighted this. There's make speeches, talk as frequently as possible at great length, illustrate your points by long anecdotes, and account your personal experiences. When possible, refer all matters to committees for further study and consideration. Attempt to make the committee as large as possible, never less than 5. Advocate...
Aha! Why? That's... Yo, I want people to pay attention to that right there, yeah? Yo, that definitely happens in student governments as well. Yo, they make the thing large because they want to slow it down. And they want to keep the people from getting things done. Yo, check that out right there, yeah? Yo, honestly, I gotta show these people UPA straight up, yeah? They made the state committee 30 plus. I told them that was a horrible idea. Yeah? They still struggle with that dumb shit. Oh my god, yeah?
Yeah.
That's never less than 5. That's crazy. Yo, they do that at the schools, I swear to you. Look at the schools, the way they're set up, the student governments. They've completely infiltrated them.
I had a lawsuit with the school, whole business.
They completely infiltrate the shit out of them, 100%. Hell yeah, let's take a look.
Caution, be reasonable, and urge your fellow conferees to be reasonable and avoid haste, which might result in embarrassments or difficulties later on. So basically, this is exactly what's happening in...
Yo, you listen to Malcolm X, he says, any delay, that's the government. Anything slowing you down, that's the government. You know what I mean? Word up.
Progressive groups. And this younger generation of activists has been taught, like, look, any little infraction, any minor little uncomfortability that you feel during the day, that's actually evidence of a larger systemic problem that needs to be addressed. And so you're a hypocrite if you're trying to, like, go to Congress and change laws for the betterment of all of society if you're not cleaning up your own house first. And that means addressing all of the uncomfortable stuff internally here.
What? Oh my god, he said exactly what we're saying from the other side of it, though. We're saying you do have to clean up your own house first. That's what I say anyways, yeah? That's crazy, okay. That's nuts, man. I do say you gotta clean your own house first.
So let's bicker over our perceptions of racism and sexism and bigotry and toxic workplace environments as the right runs rampant and wins nonstop, and as we're totally stymied and can't do even the most basic things for our policy goals. Well, look, guys, as I've told you before, the only way for a left to ever win on anything is ruthless solidarity. It's the exact opposite of what's going on now. It's solidarity and eyes on the prize, and the only thing you care about is policy. That's the only way that the left wins. Everybody's got...
No, that's wrong. Because policy, right, the law in the books and the law in the streets is two different things, man. Yeah? Malcolm X said we won't need laws if people were good.
You know what? That's really a lot of straw manning and gaslighting, because everybody knows that it always pivots, it always changes. That's the biggest problem, and that's usually what causes the splinters, is that people who are leading tend to, like, basically diverge away from the initial things, and there are people who are more, kind of purists, and then people who are saying, like, oh no, we need to compromise, we need to do this, we need to do that, and then that's when things start to break apart. You know, it isn't
On
just
some
because
things I would compromise, on other things I wouldn't.
sometimes it's egos, you know, but for the most part, it's usually because one person wants to do something that's more status quo and compromising, and the other people like want to stand their ground and get what they want. And unfortunately, it tends to be a smaller group that wants to stand their ground. So, and whenever money enters the picture, like tons of donor money, just like you said, it's like people have all these things that they just kind of limp along and they don't do anything. Why? Because they've got this funnel of money coming to them and they can't turn off the spigot, just like you said. That's
You
what
know,
it really is. Money.
you know Pandora's box, right?
Pandora's what?
You know the story, the myth about
Yes.
the fable about Pandora's box, and
Yeah.
then what's at the bottom of the box? Remember?
Oh, I don't know what's at the bottom of the box. What's at the bottom of the box?
The bottom of the box is hope, right? Supposedly in the fable, that's like counteract like the evils
The
and
bottom
stuff.
of the box is what?
Is hope
Hope.
to help you. So it sounds positive, right? But actually, in some ways, I almost feel like maybe it's the ultimate evil, you know, because that's the way that a lot of these their efforts of people who mean well are misplaced and actually weaponized against their own interests. So
Hope keeps you waiting. Hope.
yeah, and hope can keep you like doing something that's not really helping you. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
hope, yeah, and it can lead you to paralysis instead of actually doing things. So I'm not saying to give up hope 100%, but I feel like it can be actually it's a dangerous thing, maybe even an evil thing sometimes. Yeah, make sure that your hope can actually end up hurting people if you're just if you're naive about it. Yeah, just be
Yeah.
careful.
No more hope. Action.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I'm about that
Okay.
action for real, yeah. So some of this stuff is the less than 5. I think it is quite relevant. Who determines what's irrelevant, right? Yeah, who's determining that though? So
Exactly. That's exactly a successful play. Like, oh, we need a policy change. So who are these people who are supposed to be the leaders? Who
Yeah.
chooses the leadership,
Yeah.
or are these people self-appointed?
it happens a lot, right? Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. All right, I'm gonna keep going with the video. Let's see.
Got their eye on the ball, and everybody's got their eyes on the prize. And you're a relentless crusader for those things. And any sort of internal issues you have, yeah, you can work them out in due time. But you certainly don't drag an organization to a standstill to have these internal debates from now until the end of time while the right takes over the country and corporations run amok. So anyway, phenomenal article from Ryan Grimm. Everybody go read the rest of it. It's really important. The culture of progressive organizations right now is super toxic, and they're without a doubt eating themselves from within.
That's why you look for. That's why.
All right, y'all.
That's why you can't just rely on policy. Yeah, sorry, the video's over. I'm just gonna make it big screen then. But yeah, you have to look at people who's actually sacrificing, people who's actually accomplishing things, right? If they're opposed to it, they're not going to actually accomplish things and make these things get done. So they won't work to actually further
I
interests.
used
Go
to
ahead.
work with I used to work with Occupy. I used to work with an offshoot of Occupy called Occupy Fights for Closures.
Okay.
And one of the things that I was really impressed with them about is that they always do something called stacking, where someone says that they want to say something, and there's a person who keeps track of all of the people who want to talk about something.
Right.
And they keep someone on task, and everyone gets heard. They don't just get passed over like basically what happens everywhere else. Everyone who has something to say gets to say it.
Hey, let's talk about the organizations right now that don't do that. Like, let's talk about Our Revolution. Let's talk about Forward Party, right? The meetings are set where there'll be panelists, and the rest of the audience is locked off, right? And you're not allowed to even, your voice is turned off at the beginning of the meeting. You might not even be able to get to say anything for the whole entire meeting, period. Sometimes they lock off the chat.
Yeah. Tulsi did that too. You know, her people and Tulsi, remember? They started because we started talking in the chat, and then they and then they would just like turn off the chats, and they wouldn't have the chats anymore because people started like hooking up.
Because we wanted to share each other's information, we wanted to get to know each other. You know what I mean? I was like, what's going on in LA?
Ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
The Facebook, I wonder if it's still like that. The Facebook was set up where they tried to control each state. You weren't allowed to talk to each other, yeah.
I don't know. I know that there's still like some Tulsi people, but people have grown really disillusioned with Tulsi.
I actually, because she's coming to New York, I actually hit a bunch of people that I know out here. I haven't hit a camera on. I'll go check I haven't called him, but he didn't respond either. I don't know if he's even still, like, if he's even going. You know what I mean? He was pretty big Tulsi fan. I think Siraj might go. I don't know if you met Siraj, but yeah.
That's the guy who. Oh, Siraj. No, I don't know.
But once again, right, if you take a look at, like, if they just hire, like, political campaign consultants to, like, get them the bulk of the signatures they need, how much does it really cost them to, like, just hire volunteers versus, right, when the validation may not be that great and things like that. Yeah. So I think that they can, like, even if with enough money, they can just buy that. You know that Bloomberg got 100,000 signatures in, like, one day, right? That was ridiculous. That was insane. That is amazing. It took Sayers' team of like maybe like 150, like, around there, right? Yeah, to get 40,000. Bloomberg got that in one day.
So much money out here. I don't know. I know that you know this. I'm not sure if you remember. Bernie won California. Okay, so Bloomberg had put so much money out here, so much insane amounts of money, and people were still like, "You vile maggot!" Like, people were just go off like, what? Literally, at least 25% of people just said like terrible things about him. So it made me actually like heartened that like people are at least thinking like they don't want anything because they know what he did in New York. I don't even know how New Yorkers put up with what he did in New York. I just don't understand it.
One thing. Yeah. Go ahead.
Stop and frisk? What? 5 years? 4 years that went on? Never.
He also he put in bike lanes. I do understand some things about Bloomberg, but like there's also problems. Okay. Well, all right.
Yeah, he put in bike lanes.
I was reading the Bloomberg era.
How can you defend him? He put in bike lanes, but at the wealthiest that city at the most money that city has ever made, he didn't fund the pensions. So he left the fireman's pension, the city pensions, like insolvent.
Yeah.
And that's what a good leader is. At the most, what do you do with the fucking money?
I'm not crazy about him.
The money? Yeah. In the bike lanes?
I'm not just saying it was all bad. I'm not saying it was all good. Yeah, but I'm not ready to just completely throw him out. Yeah.
That's bullshit.
I'm not saying I'm a fan, right?
Yeah, right
now I'm banging with his people. Right now I'm banging with his people, so it's not like but I'm just saying it wasn't like a war land. Like, I feel like shit is definitely worse now. I'm not gonna blame like Adam specifically, but I just feel like the overall situation of maybe it was just other things going on in my life. Things just took a darker turn.
But you know what? It's just that this was a good period. And things should have been made solvent during the good times. And I will say this: that's what Jerry Brown did for us. Other than he did a bunch of shitty things too. But that is what he made the state more solvent. And now we got. I remember you saying something like, "Oh, these people are leaving California, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, dude, we're making so much money, it's insane. California is so flush with money. We have money coming out of our freaking every orifice. The state has so much money. It's the cities that are broke. And so what, Newsom has everybody by the short hairs yanking on them if they don't do his bidding. And that's one of the things that drove the recalls, because furious. So he's now like sprinkling money everybody's way, but even certain things like, gas prices here are really expensive.
Well, okay. I like
New York. We're more of a car culture than New York,
right.
So
but I'm not really actually right yet. I like to actually just return the conversation, right? Because we can have this conversation. We do often have the conversation, but the thing is that I think this article really brought some interesting things out. And as in terms of organizations you've been a part of, right, they were accusing Color of Change of having this type of like internal conflict stuff. What you say isn't really and it kind of makes sense because it would be a little bit weird for Color of Change to have as much of the social justice fight internally, right? But maybe you've been part of you. And before I was happy to hear about your organization with your Occupy for, what did you say, for preventing.
Occupy fights for closures.
Yeah, fights
there,
for closures.
there was some internal
But-
fighting there too,
So
and a lot.
yeah, and also wait,
you know?
so
But-
also you've
but,
worked in stuff since the Perot era, right? Or maybe even activism for a long time. So when we look at this issue of activism and fights from within, like Kyle was talking about, do you feel that nowadays things are? He's trying to make the claim that things are worse nowadays. Would you agree with that or not agree with that? You do not agree with that. Okay. It's always been like that. That's how you feel.
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I've been in student government where people completely undermined each other, and
Okay.
you know.
So
And
another question I want to ask, just from like an organizing point with your experience, right? Maybe there were some organizations that had more of those problems and organizations that had less of those problems. What were some of the, maybe to help the other organizers maybe watching or activists, stuff like that, what are some of the things that you saw at the organizations that kind of had a better time with this type of situation going on, right? Besides not having Kyle Kulinski heading. I'm sorry, I just had to get that one in. I'm sorry. Look, that wasn't really fair to him. I'm still a fan, Kyle, right? Yeah? Not in everything. I definitely feel like this take was a bad take, but, respect for starting Justice Democrats. That thing is fucking huge, man. Respect. But, any thoughts on that, Lisa?
I think having a mentor sometimes, because if you have someone who, like, they help you start something and then they help you kind of right the ship. Now, you have to watch out who the mentor is, and also they need to be someone accountable and keep everybody on track too sometimes, and that's really what the leader is supposed to be. But I don't think that Cenk was necessarily that great of a mentor. So he is problematic. And he's saying, oh, you should do all these things, but I'm not going to adhere to those things. We should look for people with these qualities, but I'm not going to adhere to that.
Yeah.
As a person. And so they called him out on his bullshit because he's a hypocrite, and he is. And you know that he ran for a race here. We did, like, those of you who want to go back, DJ Elf and I had a series called "This Is How We Lose,"
Yeah.
and it was about this race that Cenk was in when what was her name? Katie. I'm blanking on her last name.
He didn't even come second or third. He came in pretty bad.
He
fifth
came in
or something.
way last. He came in
Yeah.
fourth or fifth.
Yeah, bad.
And the thing is that instead of supporting this woman who had these sort of weird sex allegations against her, in this a Democrat and someone who is bisexual who won in a not a super red district, but a red-leaning district, instead of supporting her, he decided to run for her seat.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, the whole community should have come together and said to her, look, you won. We want you to have this seat. We think that it's important and your perspective is important. Let us support you through this difficult time that you're going through. But instead, she won and almost immediately had to resign. And that was really, it's so hard to win a race. That's just crazy. She went through a divorce with her husband, and her husband made like a bunch of stuff public, and it was just nasty.
Talking about the campaign, right? One of the things that might have been able to save Cenk, though, was maybe if he had listened to people who was like actually working for him on the ground, right? But a lot of times we see that the volunteers don't get to talk to the candidate, and I'm not saying that they need to have equal time to talk to the candidate as the campaign staff, or they need to have, right? Yeah.
But to the people who lived in the place that he was supposed to be representing.
Yeah.
He didn't live there.
Yeah. So
He didn't even live there.
Yeah.
Moved there.
So, right, but even like the volunteers from the campaign and stuff like that, right? Like, how did that rift grow between, right, Cenk and Kyle, like, and the staff? Like, yeah, like, is Cenk even white? I think is he Arabic? Who knows, right?
Yeah, he's Turkish.
Okay.
The Young Turks.
He's not completely white. They're both guys, right? Yeah, so maybe, I'm not sure what the issue was, right? I don't know if all the management was white. Actually, we should contact, right? I don't think she ever goes to interviews, though. But I would love to contact her. I think I've reached out to her before, way back, right? But I want to find out her side of the story, right? Because we always hear Kyle's side and Cheng's side, but we really haven't gotten to hear her side. You know what I mean?
Whose side?
Well, the executive director of Justice Democrats now,
Oh.
right? And I think that she was actually involved in the takeover that happened, right? So, yeah. And by the
Well,
way, the organization
Seems
kept
to
running
me it
after.
runs fine now. Seems to me like it runs fine now.
Yeah, when Schenken. Yeah,
Maybe
when,
they got rid of the bad
exactly.
apple. Maybe the bad apples were Kyle and Cenk.
Maybe they weren't really necessary anymore. You know what I mean? You take a look at right. Yeah, they said that. Also, they were complaining about the critical work not getting done. Well, like I said before, I don't think it was that they were losing the entire staff, right? Probably the other administrators who have easy, cushy jobs, or jobs where they're not in the field, they're not really. They were probably willing to stay. Not everybody left. You mean everybody who was actually doing stuff was leaving, right? Yeah. Right. There's a difference between everybody's actually doing stuff and actually everybody leaving. Because if it was everybody left, then I don't think Justice Democrats would have survived after they left. So you're right, they did pretty well after they left. It's pretty wild.
And they're still getting people elected.
Another thing that I do see around Justice Democrats, though, which I'm unfortunate to one of the reasons for the possible survival is because they are successful, they get a lot of people who are in there to make a career for themselves. And they're ruthless, not in a good way. And they really don't care about the actual ideals of the organization itself. They just see it as a path to victory. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So there's different organizational levels, right? Like there's also like strategies for when you're a small organization versus a large organization. Kyle Kulinski, I would guess he mentioned with the larger organizations, and Ryan's talking. Ryan doesn't really participate with these organizations either, so I don't know where Ryan's getting all this credibility to make these claims and stuff, right? Maybe a lot of managers are complaining it like never before. What's your take on
Maybe the white guy club and people got ousted. By the way, Kyle didn't get ousted. Kyle left in solidarity with as kind of like a solidarity with Cenk type of.
Yeah, they didn't get rid of him. I mean, yeah, he chose to leave. So
he left. Left.
Yeah, that's. Oh well, I wonder if he's regrets that decision. I think he should go back if he could. You know what I mean? I would go there. I would go back if I could. Yeah, they actually have some stuff going on. Anyways, yeah. So.
I think that.
So one of the things I think that really organizations can do to really kind of avoid these problems is to give their people who are actually mission critical, including your workers, right? Yeah, some sense of agency and ability in the pathway of making things happen in the organization. And even if they're kids, even if they're just started, right? Yeah, if they're doing real work for the organization, grunt work like getting ballot petitions, then I'm not saying they have to you have to listen to every word they say, but you have to make time for them. Some time, right? 2 years later, Will Conway still can't give me a meeting with Yang, even though I have complaints over 2 years old. This is not a. Yeah, I'm done waiting. Like Lisa said, yeah, wait time is over. Yeah, now.
It's not because Yang Gang is not about talking to people. His whole thing has always been like the forgotten white people in the Midwest. And the other thing is that I don't think that
the community didn't feel that way though, right? He might have been, his focus sometimes was on different things, but but his community didn't necessarily see it that way. You get what I'm saying?
I don't know. What is this community thing?
Well, you saw me hang with the colored people in New York City, so they did care about those issues, right? I would say a majority of the Yang Gang actually, straight up, did not support the pro-Israeli move, straight up. And I have some footage. I don't know if I have that all aired, but I'm not just making this up. Ask.
I know that.
Yeah, it was not a popular move.
Not that shit, and he still feels that way. So
I don't think he really feels that way because remember we made him back off of it. Yeah.
You know that if he was in there, he would have voted for that money for the Ukraine. You know that because he would have voted for the money for Israel because he would vote for the money for Taiwan. You know what I mean?
He backs the.
Some people may think certain things about stuff, and that's fine. But I say we've got people here in the streets, okay? Let's take care of them first before we start sending money to go kill people in other countries. So
I guess
I,
we're Kyle's worst nightmare. Sorry, Kyle. Kyle, come on the show, man. If you don't agree with our take, man. But I have to say, yeah, we're kind of solidarity. Go ahead, Lisa.
So I don't know, and I just feel that, people, that's my issue with, people like Katie Halper and Crystal,
I think Halper's personal friends
oh,
with Crystal.
what?
I think they're friends from growing up or something. Katie Halper and Crystal.
Yeah, they are. But
Yeah,
the
he
thing
said
is,
that.
that's my issue with them. I mean, I swear to God, like Yang was on the show. They're both like idiots wearing Yang hats. And then he said, and I mean, these are reporters, right? These are reporters,
Yeah.
and they're wearing Yang hats. And I swear to God, it was like she was gonna slide under the table and freaking walk off. It was terrible. It was terrible. I was like embarrassed. It's like, God, like you have, like, you're a reporter and you're a woman, and it's like, come on, have some like sense or some sense of self-respect. Like, this is
Well,
ridiculous.
Yang had
You're not,
the.
you're not asking him any pointed questions. Glenn Greenwald would never do that.
Remember also
He
that.
asked
Yeah.
Tulsi. He asked Tulsi grueling questions.
Remember that Yang, right? Also, he has a big appeal mostly to like new kids, right? Yeah, like people who are like young, who are just young enough, very popular in the college segment, right? And remember, also popular with males, right? Also, so think
Yes,
about that, right?
Kate
Yeah, that's
Halper, Kate Halper and Crystal Ball are in neither of those categories.
yeah. But remember that when you're taking a look at like views on the internet, right? That's the audience that makes you the most money, right? That's the most valuable. So that's why he gives them access to that most profitable category. I mean, they could go into tech field or like do like a finance, right? If they really wanted to switch genres, right, and make money off of that. But I guess they don't really know it as well. But in terms of capturing that audience, that's their key towards the money, right? Without their audience, they wouldn't really be viable. That's actually how they said they blew up, right, Crystal? So it makes sense that she's loyal, I guess. She doesn't want to lose that crowd. Oh well, that's why she won't really do. She did do a harder interview with him, but skeptical. But she never really asked him like really cutting questions like she could have. Oh well, I'm still pushing for that meeting. I have a feeling it's not going to happen now, but oh well. But
She started asking about circumcision, which is one of the few
Yeah.
which is one of the few things I actually agree with Yang about. But he started asking about circumcision. It's like, okay, circumcision more important than giving money to.
But yeah, I feel like a key is like there has to be some pathway to like getting your issues attended to, and if and I think that even myself, right, I'm willing to submit to a majority vote if that should take place, but
Well, you know what?
it has
Maybe,
to at least be
maybe that's
come up or be
coming back
considered.
to this.
Yeah.
Coming back to the situation we're talking about, where they're saying, talk about things that are completely irrelevant. When you have people going on news shows and then they're asking about stupid shit like circumcision, like he has something to do with that. It's kind of like that's that whole distracting thing, as opposed to, serious issues. I mean, why are people so attracted to Yang? They're attracted to Yang because of his UBI thing. Why are people attracted to UBI? Because they're freaking broke ass.
Yeah.
Why are they broke? Because of all kinds of other things, institutional, they can call it globalization. I call it monopolization, corporatization.
You know, this is irrelevant, like Yang's ability to produce.
And the
right?
thing
Yang's,
is that
delivery.
when you actually listen to what he has to say, he's not against the corporatization. He's not against the monopolization. He just feels that people need a way to still live while this happens, and so you give them money, and that's what the UBI comes from.
I think
But
Yang's
he
also
wants to take away the entire safety net. He wants to get rid of the entire safety net and give everybody $1,000. So no safety net. So
I think another key point to remember is that Kyle says that he thinks that the biggest thing, and I definitely think this is a huge issue, he thinks that the only thing that really matters is policy, right? Yeah. But the problem with that is like that's really where Yang comes up short because, yeah, he'll make a policy to say, yeah, I'm going to create 150,000 jobs, then he only creates like maybe like 150. You know what I mean? He said he was going to create 10,000, and out of 10,000 jobs he created 150. Results matter, and if the metrics prove that minorities are getting sold short, then you got to do something about that. Straight up, it's not an irrelevant problem. Yeah.
I agree, but does he have answers? His answer is giving everybody $1,000 a month, like they can live on that. Like they'll be able to live on $1,000 a month. Can anybody dollars a month now? How are they supposed to live on $1,000 a month 10 years from now? Whatever. Are the prices of everything going to fall that much? Maybe.
Okay. So let's take a look at, right, because like we could talk about Yang, but Yang is only going to last for so much longer. But let's try to make this actually our discussion a little bit something that can really last the test of time. So let's suppose that there's some people in some organizations and they notice that, they come across this conversation that Kyle's bringing in front of us that the organizations aren't getting things done because of internal bickering, and they feel like this is happening, and they feel like, and Kyle's make the argument that social justice issues and taking care of internal issues should come after the mission's primary goal, I guess. That's what he's, or getting things done. And there is some, I think, validity to that. Where is the happy balance, or what do you think is really, for people who are watching, right, maybe they've just started getting involved with activism, or maybe they're already activists, and they're asking themselves this question, is there anything critical that you would like to say for your perspective regarding this issue?
Yeah. When someone starts, when you do a business plan or someone starts any kind of like corporation or whatever, you're supposed to have some kind of mission statement. You're supposed to say what your organization, what your company does,
Right.
and why it does it, and sometimes even how it does it, and who it affects, who it targets, right? And so this is part of the problem, is that people have a mission statement, and then when they reach those goals, or they get close to them, they pivot, they change. And it's for those reasons that you say, it's because they can't turn the money spigot off. They're too used to doing it. They have this whole like ground game, and they don't want to dismantle it. They want to keep it going, and then they start looking for new things to do. But a lot of people like were in on the initial thing that started everything, and then once that's over, they'll hey bye, or they'll say like, well, wait, we should do more in this vein, instead of, no, that's good enough, we're going to pivot and do this. And from what I've seen, any kind of sort of social justice type of thing, and this is from my point of view, and being involved in several things, and being at one point very involved in Move On, everything starts to pivot toward a Dem Party hack, like you're some sort of Dem Party minion that you just do the bidding of the Dem Party, and all you have to, and then you have to be satisfied with crumbs, not getting what you want.
Can you give me
your ass for it?
Okay,
and
so
that's it.
yeah.
Everything pivots toward that.
So the
what
thing
can
is,
they
okay,
do?
so
What can they do?
yeah.
They can stick to their guns and actually say that if you have a particular goal, what you can do is focus on that goal, and then when it's done, like, okay, everybody, if we want to do something else, or everybody get back together, and it's like, okay, what do we want to work on?
But okay,
And
I
that's
think that Kyle's making the argument here that the people who are arguing for the social justice stuff are the pivoters. You get what I'm saying? He's trying to say that they're talking about social justice issues is a pivot away from what the management wants.
And
So
what was the management? What was it?
The management wants the people to stop talking about social justice issues, start talking about equity within their own organization, and to just do the work that they've been told to do.
What's the
and
work?
Stop complaining
What's
about
the work?
whatever the management says. Whatever the management
social
says.
justice work.
Hey, from the article, that's the way I read it, right? Maybe I misread it. Yeah.
It's called the Justice Democrats. It's
Maybe
a
I'm
social
misreading it,
justice
yeah.
Organization. So
Hey,
what is it?
yeah. So I'm just like trying to help people that are watching this, right? Yeah, because they're gonna be asking themselves, right? Yeah, like And remember, all their bosses and all the people in power and all the people who are endorsed are going to be telling them this message, right? Like, they'll be like, oh, you know what? Like, you're a social justice organization, and they're going to be fed the message just like from people like Kyle, too, who's going to be making the argument, right? Most people, I think, are watching Kyle versus us, right? So they're going to be of the framework of mind that, yes, the people who are causing the problem are these social justice people that are pivoting. I swear to you, I'm going to deal with this later on, right? Yeah? People will probably literally turn back towards this. I think I made a video about it, right? Yeah? And they'll be like, you know what, I've already heard about this. You're trying to bring up equity in this organization. You need to just buckle down and you're trying to pivot. You get what I'm saying? So I agree with you on the pivot, but yeah, you're right. What is the real purpose of the organization?
I'm saying that they're the pivoters. What they want is to say it's just like what I said before about Cenk.
Right.
He wants to tell people that they just stick to their guns. They should have values. They should have this, and he has none of that.
But he doesn't do it. But exactly, that's what I like. Yeah, consistency. Yeah, you can't be telling other people to do it and not doing it at home. You don't even know how to do it. If you're not doing it yourself, you don't even know how to do it. So how are you going to tell other people to do it if you're not even doing it yourself?
Right.
Word up, straight up. Yeah, I like that.
You know, their whole thing was to choose really good people and to get them elected. To people with those values and wanting to do those things and get them elected.
I'll tell you, out here, Justice Democrats still has the ground.
And when Kyle left, did the organization fall apart? No. Did they get people elected after they left? Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, right? Yeah. Now I'll just tell you the truth of
the Justice Democrats. It's like, hey, all these people are pivoting. They're not pushing hard enough. We want people who are even harder. Okay, I agree.
Now, do you actually?
You can't say that they're not living up to what they said that they were going to do. Even what Kyle said that they wanted to do.
Do you interact with Justice Democrats on your own, like out there? Are they Justice Democrats out where you are?
We don't, because we don't really interact with Justice Democrats out here.
There's really more It's really more our revolution.
California's pretty blue.
Yeah.
We're pretty blue. But you know, like I said, Bernie won here.
Yeah.
So we already have those kinds of things kind of going on. But you know, I would say that you know, Nithya didn't get. I'm not sure if she got supported by the Justice Democrats. I'm not sure, but she did get supported. One of her first supports was from the Sunrise.
Is Shahid Buttar? I think he's Doris boy, but whatever. Yeah, but is he a Justice Dem?
He might be. I'm not sure.
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know.
He was the one. Yeah, he ran against Pelosi. He never gets close. He always wins by a landslide, but he's getting better and better and better and better. You know, the thing is about Shahid is that people are afraid of him. Or Shahid, yeah, like people are afraid of him. And the reason why is because he's so articulate.
To me, he's too close to the door, man. He's too close to the door for me. Like anything around that shit is like sus to me.
He's too close to door.
I know it sounds divisive, yeah.
Door who?
Like Jimmy Dore and Hinkle, yeah. They use his name all the time.
Oh, no.
I know they're close friends. I'm not mad at them being friends, but I'm telling you, like.
No, they're not.
Okay, I hope
they're
not.
hardly on the show. No, I don't think so. I think that Shahid is that like, we'll say something and all they'll do is listen. They don't even like push back or say anything else, or they don't even parry. It's just that he's so knowledgeable. I don't know if you know what he used to do, but he used to be the counsel for the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation.
Oh, maybe I should reach out to him again. That would be really cool to talk to him.
And that's the organization that has for a long, long time been pushing for electronic rights and, you know, just the right to repair and, you know, the surveillance stuff. So he's totally on task for all of that stuff. He was their counsel. And so he's someone who could go in and do some serious damage because he knows what to do and how to do it.
That's cool.
And,
I got to talk to him. Maybe he is cool.
They're scared of him. And that's why people like, you know, I don't know Hinkle that much. I mean, I know who he is. He is a West Coast guy. And I've seen him at, you know, talk in certain places and stuff like that.
Cool.
Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore has nothing to say really to Shahid because Shahid's so much more intelligent.
He brings some issues, some events. Yeah, I should be completely hating on Dore, but it's just unfortunate that things got personal. Yeah, but his overall work, I think, like does have some value. So.
Well, I just think that the whole Nick Brana thing of him just liking because he had I feel like he's willing to ignore. Look, especially in the entertainment industry, there's huge issues with sexual harassment and rapes and stuff. There's huge issues here. I mean, Harvey Weinstein's just the tip of the iceberg. And and so because he got caught up on that or whatever, now he's like, you know, sympathetic to these guys, which is gross because this has been going on for a really long time and people need to be called out. And the thing is that Jimmy Dore admits that he did that. He just feels like because he said he was sorry, he should just be absolved from it, which maybe he should. I mean, she said she was sorry as in public, and she was, quote unquote, weaponizing. But the thing is that TYT are a bunch of hypocrites because they've done things like way worse. But I will say this, like, to say that it's not a problem, to say that it's not an issue, it's a huge problem, it's a huge issue. And, Nithya, that's where Nithya came from. Nithya ran Time's Up out here. And so she was like trying to get those organizations. And so done. So I think that, and people don't like to do this, and obviously Kyle is also one of those people. People need to take a really big look in the mirror, and it's like, ask yourself, why are you really doing this? Are you doing this so you can, beat your chest and feel like, hey, I did blah, blah, blah. Are you doing this to start a movement? Because, as a mother, I birthed a baby, but I can't, I can tell my son what to do, right? But he doesn't always do it. And once he turns 18, he'll do whatever the hell he wants. I can't tell him everything. And so, because they want to birth this baby and then make it a slave. And it's like, no, sometimes you birth the baby and then it lives and has its own life beyond you.
Yeah.
And so you want to raise it right so it will go and do great things in the world, even when you're not around. And think of organizations more like mothering them, more like birthing them, as opposed to, being a slave master. And that's my suggestion.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so many of the organizations just use these kids. I'm really particularly concerned about these. You saw it even in the article, right? Yeah, we used to think that we would just grab these kids and they would just work for us, and that would be the solution, versus having older, experienced hands who know what they're doing, who might ask for some equity or agency. Yeah, it's the whole language of the thing is sus to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Kyle. All right, so I think that's pretty good for. Yeah. Let me see if we have any more comments on the thing. If anybody's still watching.
Other comments? I can't see them.
I'm gonna go now and take a look. Yeah. There's nothing here. Okay. Yeah. How progressive are they start eating themselves within? Yeah. It is definitely an issue. Okay, go on there. No, it's pretty much. I think it's about done. Oh, Teresa. Believe Tara Reid. Okay. Yeah, I like to Force the Vote, right? I actually, Teresa, just so you know, I was actually one of the first people out at Force the Vote. The Fool got angry. The Fool actually, I think, is a Yang fan. Interesting. So I was missing Divine Justice is the best we're gonna get.
What was that you just said?
So I was in the I went to the Yang Gang. You saw me actually in the Discord server. And by the way, even though I am tough on Will Conway on some things, right? Well, it might be just a play. So, but I'm glad that he opened the door to let me in the Discord. I mean, that's a positive in my book. Yeah. Okay. Closing the door was unfortunate, but I understand why. But understand I'm really serious about getting myself just whatever. Okay. So the Fool is someone that I met in that could be real, could be CIA. You never know, right? Yeah. In these elections, there's a lot of money at stake, and there's a lot of foreign powers in the game. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So. Could be anything, or it could be just someone. But I met them through the Forward Party server, so we'll see where this goes. I think that they may be a Forward Party fan. Teresa Sam, not sure either way too. At least honestly, and then they say I like to Force the Vote. Yeah, just so you know, I'm actually the first person in the nation that forced the vote. Yeah, along with my man Lewis. Lewis, yeah. Oh, you got a new room right there? You're painting? I see the roller, that's cool. I like the hat, by the way, it's cool. Yeah. Just a cool day at home. All right, folks. I guess that's it for the show. If you have any, do I believe Tara Reid? Has she gained or has she lost from her allegations? I think she's lost. And she's sacrificed and she's sticking to the story, so that makes me more tempted to believe her. You know what I mean? But once again, I wasn't there. I don't see the evidence, so it could be either way, right? Yeah, I'm not going to just go one way or the other yet. But if I'm leaning one direction, that's leaning towards believing, but I'm not really ready to do anything about it because I just don't have a little certainty. That's anything you want to say about that for you, Lisa, for Teresa Sam over here?
Oh, I think I think Sarah Reid, it can happen. Sure, I think it happened.
Yeah, he's sniffing all those girls. Come on, man.
There's some weirder things that have happened in his family and stuff. There's might be some.
The Hunter Biden laptop situation.
He had a daughter or something, or he had some sort of weird. There's some weirdness.
Yeah.
Like Biden's family. It's like his kids. It's just kind of like, dude, that's what I mean. Like, especially as a mom. I mean, you lost.
Oh
their
well,
mom.
yikes. Okay, yeah.
You gotta be a mom. You have to be a mom and a dad. And he did a shitty job. So
Yikes.
I don't
Okay.
know.
All right, so I guess that's the show. All right, I think that's it. All right, so thanks. I'm gonna go offline.